Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. All right, thank you all for being here. Today is June 2nd. We are halfway through the year at this point, it seems. And with that, I am going to start with the invocation by our one and only Pastor David Butler from the Faith Assembly Christian Church, the Rock and Roll Church.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would you bow your heads with me, please? Gracious and lovely Heavenly Father, I thank you tonight for these, your servants, our mayor, our city manager, our city staff, and our city council members. I give thanks for the way of service they have chosen to take up on behalf of all of us here. We pray for wisdom, for strength and courage to do what is right and good for all citizens. May we put the interest of others above our own. We thank you again for this council. We pray, Lord, for our law enforcement this evening, our military, our first responders, our schools, both students and staff, our hospital staff, and all those who work to make this place such a beautiful place that we call home. And now the blessing is this, according to Numbers chapter 6. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May he give you his peace. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for always being here. All right, Councilwoman Hebert with the pledge, please.
Please join me with your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. You may be seated, and we have a proclamation that's going to go up first. Got a big crowd of them all, but if all the Rotarians and our honoring award nominee. I'm sorry, I didn't want to give you the wrong title on that. So all the Rotarians who are here that want to be recognized. Michael. All right.
Come on in, honey. Come on in.
Awesome. And then, Brenda, would you like to start and introduce everything, and then I can proclamation?
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor Wagner, City Council members, and guests. My name is Brenda Gray. I serve as the Secretary of the Destin Rotary Club. It is my great honor tonight to stand before you to present a very special recognition with the Destin Rotary Club Citizen Above Self Award. This award was created to shine a light on the unsung heroes in our community, those who give without asking, serve without expectation, and impact lives simply by being who they are. These individuals rarely seek the spotlight, yet they are the heart and soul of what makes Destin such a special place. This year, we are proud to recognize Jessica Holzapple as our Destin Rotary's 25-26 Citizen Above Self Award recipient. Jessica is someone who embodies the very essence of servant leadership. Her kindness, dedication, and quiet acts of generosity ripple through our community in ways she may never fully see, but we certainly do. She was nominated by fellow Rotary members who saw her as the missing piece in our mission to honor those who make a difference behind the scenes. Jessica, thank you for being a light in this city. You are an inspiration, and tonight we are grateful to celebrate you. On behalf of the Destin Rotary Club and the people of Destin, congratulations, and thank you for all you do.
So with Rotary being one of the many nonprofits in our community that does tremendous work, so first and foremost, thank you all for being here, and thank you guys for putting service above self. So with that, you have one of the most caring and giving groups that I know bestow an annual honor to someone in our community. So for me, this is a huge privilege to recognize you guys with this group tonight. So the proclamation honoring Jessica Holzapple and declaring June 2nd, 2025 as Jessica Holzapple Day in the city of Destin. All right, I got some fun whereases. Whereas the City of Destin proudly recognizes individuals who demonstrate exemplary discipline, compassion, and leadership in service to our community, and whereas Jessica Holzapple has been a driving force for meaningful change since moving here in Destin in 2011, impacting lives for both locally and globally through her work at Shoreline Church and beyond. Whereas her leadership in cooperating disaster relief, organizing community-wide service initiatives, and participating in international mission efforts, including the construction of a school in Uganda, has brought hope and tangible support to countless individuals throughout the world. Whereas Jessica is a model of wholehearted service, known for unifying people and resources to create positive and lasting change throughout. Whereas as a devoted mother of 4, including a child with special needs, she has been a tireless advocate for inclusion and connection, especially through initiatives like Night to Shine, a prom night celebrating individuals with special needs. And I saw the little promo video. I held back the tears. It was amazing. You guys did a wonderful job with that. Whereas the Rotary Club of Destin has honored Jessica Holzapple as the 2025-2026 Community Award recipient, recognizing her extraordinary combination that embodies the meaning of spirit of service and community. Whereas it is fitting that the City of Destin formally honors Jessica Holzapple and celebrates her inspiring example of compassion, leadership, and civic engagement. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Bobby Wagner, on behalf of the City Council and all of our citizens, do hereby proclaim June 2nd, 2025 as Jessica Holzapple Day in the City of Destin, Florida, and encouraging all residents to recognize and celebrate the lasting contribution she has made to enrich the lives of those in our community and beyond. So done this second day of June 2025. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Get in. I'm not that tall. Awesome. Anything you'd like to say?
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I thank the family for being here. I know for every strong leader, the whole family of support. So I want to thank the whole family and everything you guys have done in and outside of the church. We really appreciate you guys.
And I do want to give credit to God for all of this. Truly, I didn't know Jesus before I moved to this town. And this town has completely changed the whole direction of our whole family. So we love it here. We're grateful to be here. And I love raising our kids here. It's truly an honor. So I'm excited to continue to partner. I have to plug it, but we were already approved with the Tim Tebow Foundation for Night to Shine 2026. Nice. And so that will be happening in our town, which is a big, big deal. So get ready, February 13th. It's happening, and you'll hear all about it. So thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, that's a testimonial the TDC can't come up with. All right. Up first is going to be the public comment. So I'm going to... there you go. Thank you, Councilman Schmidt. Do I have any considerations for the agenda or an approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right. I got a motion by Councilwoman Hebert, seconded by Councilman Schmidt. Any further discussions? Seeing none. Ray, if you can call that vote. Oh, no. We're going to approve the agenda, and then it's going to be public comments. Yep. I got some help up here. All right. Sandy, Kevin, you guys in? Oh, okay. I got you. No, it's on your laptop. You having a senior moment?
It's interesting why we have these things up here if we don't use them anymore.
Oh, don't hit the assets. Taxpayers' problem. All right, ayes have it, so moved. Moving right along, we got public comments. I'm going to start on my right, y'all's left. If anyone from the right side want to go? Yes, sir. Up here to the mic. If you... I just need you to hit the gray button. The light will turn red. Name and address, and the floor is yours for 3 minutes. Yep, good. Good to go. Right. Name and address.
My name's Riley Tanaka. I'm at 606 Harbor Lane, and I was going to talk about the jet ski course that's in front of it's on the sandbar in front of our house. Mm-hmm. That's been causing such a problem. I'm sure everybody in the city council's heard about this. I was going to bring up an incident that happened not yesterday, but the Sunday prior. My daughter and I were out there on the sandbar, masks and snorkels, swimming around. The jet skis showed up and they came in full speed within 10 feet of us and almost hit us. We had exchanged choice words, explained that this is not okay. And we were assured that the driver of the jet ski was in control, but full speed, 10 feet away. It's not about that. It's about safety and courtesy. And we've been asking the city council to kind of give us some direction on how to meet this or address this. That's why I'm here today. I know it's not on the agenda, but I wanted to make our concerns known. I understand that there are some limitations on what can be done, but when it's a safety issue, I think that broadens our horizons on what we can do. So I was just here to give y'all a firsthand testimony of what I've experienced, in the water and outside of it from a viewing perspective. So is this something we openly discuss, or is it just
No,
bring that
it's
up?
just a one-sided public comments, and then just to try not to respond, but mainly we have heard and we've been doing some research, and so just know that a lot of people have been reaching out to us, and we're kind of going through what the state would allow.
Okay, if there's any other testimony that the council would like to hear, whatever, that's what I'm here for, just to help show support of that solution, potential solution. So Riley, R-I-L-E-Y, Tanaka.
Mr. Mayor, whether we talk about it now or at 8 o'clock when it's my turn, I'd like to talk about this, so.
Yeah, I was going to plan on
Do you
talking
want to
about
go
it
ahead
as
and
well.
talk about it now?
No, I think just for the sake of keeping everything organized and uniform
Later.
under the public
Okay.
comments, but I was as well going to bring it
Okay,
up.
just wanted to make
Yep.
sure.
Okay,
All right,
I'll wait
yes,
till
sir.
then.
Voice is heard, and if you can just tap that off for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. All right, Guy, I'm starting to get everyone's names down. There you go.
Guy Tadlock, 502 Noriego, Destin. First of all, two things. But first of all, did I hear today that the boring projects are going to be paused until sometimes like Memorial Day or something, Labor Day or something like that?
The boring, the under,
Yes.
where it got hit, yes, I believe, if you want to.
Yes, sir. Everything in the 98 corridor right-of-way south has been suspended until after Labor Day. There will be some work up in the neighborhoods and some on private property, but for the major boring components, we are not allowing any of it except the ADS contract that's with the city that's doing the undergrounding of the utilities, but particularly the fiber companies that have caused us some grief, we have shut them down in that area till after Labor Day.
Very good. It's really, if you look at the danger and the traffic, I mean, it's just scary as rip to drive down 98 with all the construction work and you're driving this far from the workers. So good move. Glad to hear that. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about tonight is bonfires. I watched the city council meeting when that was discussed by Mr. Schmidt, and my mind is like, there's no way this can happen. This is really a very concerning issue. First of all, if you look at it from an environmental standpoint, the impact that it has. If you look at it from a safety standpoint, I tried to get numbers, and it's hard to get numbers on the number of deaths every year with bonfires. They typically lump that in with other fires, and it could be as many as 70,000 a year, but then they drop it down to like pit fires, and I'm not sure I know what a pit fire is, and bonfires. In 2017, there were 5,300 deaths. And then if you listen and look at the stuff that's happened at the bonfires that colleges have, it can be a serious issue. And I understand that I read the packet. They're small fires. They're in a metal container. But my goodness, we've got fireworks that causes fires just about every year. And I just can't imagine us opening up the beaches to have bonfires. In my neighborhood, and if I look at the packet, there's 3 candidates, Noriego Point Park, which hadn't been completed yet, and then there's the West Destin Beaches. right in the middle of a very dense populated area of single-family homes and condos. I just can't imagine putting bonfires there. So, you know, if you look at it.
You got 3 minutes, so just final thoughts.
Okay, I can end it
I'm
quick.
giving you a little bit more, but wrap it
But
up.
if you look at it, the risk to safety and health surely cannot justify putting our neighborhoods in peril. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're gonna learn along. Better, yep, yes, sir. I got you next.
Don Dallas, 442 Snapper. I've got a newspaper article from 2017 from the Northwest Daily News. It says drainage projects wrapping up in Destin. Okay? So what I read was the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation awarded $3.6 million grant for restoration. That includes stormwater, which y'all know comes in my place. All right? I've been griping about it for 3 years. You know, Dewey's been by, city manager, Mike been by. They're trying to get something going. They say we got a new engineer who I just met today. Thank you, Larry. So $3.6 million. That fixed a lot of streets, and it did. They started off with, you know, over there on the harbor first, Joe's Bayou, Indian Bayou. They did all the streets except for my street. Mary, you know that.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
been through all this mess. All the projects they got, and I'm not going to name them all. Clements Park restorations, bid went out 2024 in July. Crosstown Connector, both start this year. Noriega Point, 2024 start August, September. Stormwater, Matty Kelly, swells. I do have a swell in front of my house, by the way. Pickleball. They gave pickleball courts $400,000. I was sitting there that day when that happened. I don't play pickleball. Good they're doing it, but it don't help me. July 2023, Marmer Bridge property, right up there, used to be a tattoo shop, was bought for a little over $9 million. Okay? Boardwalk under the bridge, supposed to start this year. And we got walkways, bikes, and all that mess. So, you know, Mr. Larry come by, Mr. Mike been by a couple times, Mr. Dewey been by a few times. Supposedly, they're coming by this week. Hopefully, I'm there when you call me and let me know. Try and figure it out. But, you know, this is crazy. I'll be 78 in 2 months, actually 1 month, still hauling sandbags every time we get a hard rain, okay? I can still do it, but I don't like doing it. So I'm just asking y'all, I mean, you see where all the money's going. We're not rich, okay? We're retired folks that living on fixed income. We ain't rich. It seems like to me, the people with the money is getting all the attention. They're getting all the stuff fixed first before us. Okay? So that's all I got to say. And one more thing. After not several calls, to the mayor, a call to the mayor. Next day, Mr. Jones and Mike came out. They looked at it again. They've been out several times. Dewey been out 2 times that I know, probably more. So that's what I'm asking to do. I said, let's you know, get off the pot and let's fix my stuff. I have to pay $400 a year for flood insurance, and I'm not even in floodplain. Okay? That's $400 a year out of my pocket. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Carrie Harbarger, 307 Mountain Drive. So I wanted to bring up, again, I'm going to, on record, come back to the council, and I am complaining again about the carts and the ice cream carts on the beach. They're staged. numerous, 7 days a week, I document it. But as I was documenting it, it dawned on me. It isn't just about complaining about having illegal businesses that come here and don't pay into our community and just walk away and go back to Mandeville, Louisiana. I noticed something. It is pompano season, right? And there's a lot of surf fishing going on. And everybody, right, I videoed it. I didn't have it. I don't think it'll waste your time. But while these carts are on the beach, they have to be up on the sand selling because all the people have their rods in the water. They're laying on the beach, they're sunbathing, and it's pompano season, and everybody has their... So are we going to stop the fishing, surf fishing? Is there no more surf fishing so we can fancy the illegal businesses that are on the beach? Or do we stop the businesses and stop all the drama? Because we're all still fighting about it, and not one thing has been done. There's been a couple warnings issued for the whole Memorial weekend. I videoed them on the beach, lined up down the beach with their customers. You guys, we're invested into this community. I'll have you know that my property insurance went from $5,000 a year to $14,000 a year. You guys got to protect your businesses that are willing to stand ground to stay. It's not okay. And this isn't the only business. There's others coming your way, guys. But there's no good faith been shown here. So that was one thing that I noticed. So we either need to stop the surf fishing or just let the guys up on the beach, because that's where they are. They're on the wet. They're on the sand because they can't. Or you're going to have fist fights with them fishermen. If you ain't seen them guys lately, you know, they don't want that either. Nobody wants it. We've been told. We've talked about it for over a year now, and I've watched the council direct our city manager to do something about it, and guys, nothing has been done about it. And also, I want to say that also, too, they like to give the air that they're with all the lifeguards, like at Crystal Beach, and I'll tell you guys that I talked to those people and the homeowners out there. They pay somebody to do their little snow cones. They think those people are legal. They're elated to find out, because I've told them that they're not legal. And they want them off the beach. They come up there and they wear their red shorts like they belong with the lifeguards that those people hire. It's a gimmick. You guys are getting played, and I think that it's time that we really address it and quit messing with this. So I'm just complaining again. That's all. Any questions?
Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Nice to be here every 2 weeks to complain about the same thing. But thanks for hearing me, though, I must say. And I want to say, we do have the most awesome council we've had in a long time. So I'm depending on you guys. I've been up to these councils. I've never even had the first response or reaction, and this council has given it to me not once but twice. And it tells me that you guys are wanting a resolve, but you're not getting it. I don't know why, but I see you guys want to resolve, and I do see that. So I want to say thank you, and thanks for hearing me.
Thank you. All right, next. All right, you just need to press that gray button. It'll turn the light red. You don't have to hold it down. Just there's a gray button up there. You just want to push that. There you go. Name and address, and the floor is yours for 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm Faye Culbertson, 6 Noriego Road, 32541. I was here about the bonfires. I'm totally against the bonfires. I don't want to be just commercialized as much as at all. And I'm fond of the turtles and all the good work that people have done in the community about the turtles, keeping them safe. And I guess that's about all about the bonfires, except it's just we have enough smoke around here that from all of the fireworks, too much. And in the new park down there that's going down the Holiday Isle, I understand that there's going to be fireworks a couple times a week. I think that's horrible. I can hardly breathe out there anyway because of all the smoke on the days of the fireworks. Another thing regarding to the parks, are they going to be closed from dusk to dawn? And when will that start? Or do y'all do that?
If you stick around, we're going to have a discussion on all of that. This is going to be the first full discussion on all this at 4B on the agenda. You're going to hear all of our thoughts.
Okay.
I don't know if that was hypothetical or if you're looking for questions, but
Yeah.
we're going to address all that today.
Okay. And back to the bonfires. I know they do it in Walton County, but we don't have 27 miles of beach. We only have a little bit of beach. And thank you very much, and thank you for all that you do.
All right, thank you. All right. Anyone else? Yeah. All right, yep, jump on in.
Good evening. Thank you. I don't know what I'm worse at, public reading or speaking, but I'm going to try a bit of both.
Name and address, please.
Yes, John McHale, 306 Harbor Boulevard. I came to speak about the public slips that are located near where I am without throwing names or addresses. And it's about 20 of them, I believe. And I don't think I'll be able to be present when it gets spoken about. So I may be here too soon, but I wanted to just be able to talk to you guys about what my concerns are. And I do want to say I am pro-business and developing growth. That's how I'm here. My business gains directly from the commercial activity and so on. But something just doesn't sit well with me, and it hasn't since the moment those docks been approved the way they were approved. And I watched the meeting live happen and the approval, and I watched what happened on the property as soon as the next day. And I think you may be aware, and I'm sure some information has gotten to you, but there's a confusion, and it's been stated publicly from the city that what is public and what isn't on a map. And then people are confused when they arrive, and it's a bit selective on who's able to stay and who's not able to stay in those slips. And I may have guiltily, oh yeah, look at the map on the city, it'll let you know. I don't even boat. I get seasick just looking at the boat. I'm a land lover. But I think it's wrong for someone to bait and switch us here as a council, a city. And I just want to read, just a thought that, we're the second ranked, I didn't know there were ranked harbors, but something we should all be proud of. Everybody be proud of that. That we're even somewhere that high. Forget the Miley Cyrus song. We're second ranked harbor. It's a real live harbor. And if we're not careful with it, we need to grow smart, responsibly. And if you don't have, businesses need bathrooms, dedicated parking for their staff and their customers. And that burden falls on other people, and it becomes pressurized. And the last thing I want is any visitor in this town, whether they're local, Shalimar, Alabama, New York, it doesn't matter. They can't be chased around properties at our festive marketplace and not certain where they can use the restroom, where they can do this. We are all in it together to create this environment. It's not just, and the beaches as well, like there cannot be points of tension. That's the only thing I remember of my trip to Jamaica was vendors fighting. It felt tense and I didn't want to go again. But anyway, I don't want to get off topic. I wanted to read, there's some valid points to make. I hope I can make it when this gets spoken about, maybe a little bit more. And, but I really didn't want to miss an opportunity to just kind of get that off my chest. And just please look back at how they were approved and what we were told and promised, and then, maybe we can work back. I realize there's been three different maybe code directors since I've been there 7 years with my business there at that location. We've been open 6. Anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone's time and everyone's work, and I'll hopefully see you soon.
All right, thank you for being here, John. Thank you. All right, anyone else?
So just for the record on that one, before we get to the next speaker, you are all hearing about that on June 16th as part of a quasi-judicial application. So if you have questions on what was just said, please direct them to the property owners' representatives at that meeting, okay? Thank you.
Just push that button. There you go. Name and address first.
Okay. Barbara Comas, 480 Gulf Shore Drive on Holiday Isle. This is about the bonfires, and I just recently found out about this, and my husband and I live there in Destin Point about, I'd say 75% of the time we're there, and I've also been involved with the Audubon Society, And we have had successful lease turn nesting in that area where, on the state lands, where the Gulf meets the East Pass. Last year, I think we had maybe 3 to 5 turtle nests in that area as well. So I really don't think it's a good idea to start this bonfire business or whatever. I'm not sure what's going on, and I came here to find out the information, but I know I'm not for it. I know a lot of people are not for it. I know it brings parties, it brings noise. I'm retired too, like a lot of us on that island, and we just don't want that kind of activity. We want peace and quiet, and I just hope you would listen to that and get input about that. But I really don't want to see it from an environmental point of view, and just keep problems out of the area. Because I know with parties comes, we've had it in our own community. People jump the fence, they get in your pool. I don't know. I think of bonfires with a lot of drinking and stuff. So anyway, I just want you to know I'm not for it. So
Thank you for being here. All right. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the public comments and we will go into the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote, Ray. There we go. I just have it so moved 6-0. Mr. Larry Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. Item 4A is regarding the disaster debris management services. We went out for proposals. We received a number of proposals back from some very qualified firms. These are pre-position contracts that will stay in abeyance until we have an emergency where we need those, the scale of these management services that these companies would provide. The two top-ranked firms are TRF Enterprises and Southern Disaster Recovery, LLC. We would recommend we approve both of those by having two of those on standby. It gives us a little bandwidth to make sure we've got the ability to respond in the event of a disaster.
All right, with that, do I hear a motion? Teamwork.
Would you like me to do it for you? So I'll move to approve award of 3-year pre-position contracts for disaster debris management services to TFR Enterprises, Inc. and Southern Disaster Recovery, LLC, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary agreements related to RFP 25-05-PW.
Second.
With a motion, I have my second. Any further discussions?
A little bit, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Jump on in.
We've had these contracts in place as long as I've been on the council. The previous people that had the contract are either one of these guys, the previous folks?
Not to my understanding.
So for the past 5 years, we've had TFR Enterprises. That's a repeat tonight. And then formerly we had Crowder Gulf, and though Crowder Gulf did submit a proposal, however, it wasn't one of the top-ranked firms.
And how long had we had Crowder Gulf? I'm trying to remember who we had during Opal.
I've been here 5 years, and we've had them during that period. Prior to that, I'm not aware.
Back in 2006, but I don't know who's.
Right, and so we've had them since back to 2006, or prior to that. They didn't make the cut for what reason?
So based on the scoring criteria provided in the RFP, There were 5 points awarded for price, experience of the staff, past performance, their project approach, and financial capability. So they had letters from banks and all their proposals. And based on the scoring criteria, all 12 were very well qualified. It came down to the price issue. And with federally declared disasters, FEMA will typically pick up 75% of that expense, with the remaining 25% split 12.5 and 12.5 between the state and the local.
Okay, so how much was the difference in the price? Just wondering, you know, we got good service out of them for over 20 years. It must have been a pretty substantial difference in the price.
You will just give me one moment, I will pull that up.
Okay.
Was Hurricane Opal the last time they did anything for the city of Destin?
No, I don't think so. I think we'll have to ask them, but we've had a couple of near misses since then.
Yeah, I think it's 05, 06 or something.
Soon as this Excel spreadsheet opens. Okay, so for this year, for this proposal that we sent out, we provided quantities as a typical storm. So we had cubic yards and various other measurements that they would provide unit prices for, to kind of put everyone on a, you know, level playing field. Oh, come on. Okay, here we go. So comparing SDR or Southern Disaster, their total response to the kind of proposed event was $79,300,000. Crowder Golf's was $83,340,000.
4 million or so, 5? Yep. Well, I guess we will move forward, but sometimes you get what you pay for, and I know that company had been with us a long time.
All right. With that, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussions? Seeing none, Ray, if you can call the. All right, ayes have it, 6-0, so moved. All right, Larry, the hot topic.
Item 4B, bonfires on beach discussion. So at a previous meeting, council asked staff to do a little research on what our neighboring county does as far as bonfires on the beach, and to provide you with some linear footage of available beaches or public beaches in Destin, and that's provided for you in a table in your package. So Walton County does allow bonfires on the beach, both public and private beaches. They are required to have a permit to be legal. Those permits are issued through the South Walton Fire District. The cost of a permit is $100, plus you pay a $5 administrative fee. That $100 permit fee is split equally between the county and the fire district, and that generates a substantial amount of money in Walton County, where they have a lot of bonfires on an annual basis, probably about 9,500. So at $100 each, you can see how much money they each share in. So no way in any thought would those kind of funds be generated in the city of Destin. We understand that. We did have a conversation with the Destin Fire Control District to determine if the council had any appetite to move this forward, would they be willing to participate? And they certainly would entertain that idea to be the permitting arm if we so desired. So we're not making a recommendation. We were just asked to bring back some information. So, the bottom line is next door, they do have fires on the public and private beaches. If you were inclined to do something in the city, it would take an amendment to the Code of Ordinances, which regarding vending on the beach. We would highly recommend that if you do move forward, that you do it with vendors. Be very careful about letting individuals outside of somebody that would be responsible for an ongoing concern that would be more apt to pay attention to the rules, play by the rules if they thought they might lose their livelihood going forward. There for your discussion.
All right, and with that, I got Councilwoman Hebert up first.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Larry, for looking into that. I know that we were talking about, the opportunity because we had several folks that had asked about doing bonfires with their families and friends, not necessarily that crazy, drinking and college crowd, but is there certain sections that it would be limited to? Because I know Holiday Isle has a lot of short-term rentals, but it also has a lot of permanent residents there. Was there a specific area on those parts of the beaches that would just be what we, the city, own? Is that correct?
Well, you would actually permit them if you were going to allow them on private property. You would permit those as well. So it would be on public and or private property. Again, the public property that the city controls is somewhat limited, and it might not be advisable to even consider them there because of they're not very wide in most instances. But you do have the ability to require a permit on a private property. Currently, there are no bonfires allowed. And I think when we think bonfire, I think Walton County says the flame cannot be over 4 feet tall. Now, how you control that, I'm not sure, but that's part of their policies.
And then the other part of that would be the fire department. Am I correct in that they would be monitoring during that? If we did this and it was authorized, the fire department then would be an active participant to manage that bonfire scene, or no, that doesn't happen?
I think that would be part of any discussion with the whole process. If we use them to permit what would go along with that opportunity as well. I can tell you in Walton County, their code enforcement will come and check to see if you have the appropriate permit, but they have substantially more code enforcement officers than we even have the opportunity to have here.
All right, those are my questions and answers. Thanks, Larry.
All right, up next, Councilman Braden.
Thank you, Mayor. My thoughts on the bonfire. First thing that comes to mind is I know the people come up here and spoke earlier that, was talking about the smoke and it's bad for the environment. I don't know if people realize it or not, and I don't know if people have went to the county and complained, but the fireworks, there's so much ash and stuff on those boats down there at the Harbor Walk. And I've heard the guys bitch and complain about it for years, but they can't say anything because the guys that did complain got evicted from the property. And that goes on every week, sometimes twice a week. And then the air show they put on, they don't call it an air show, but it's an air show. They burn at least 55 gallons, a whole 55-gallon drum of oil. They burn that in those air shows every week. That's 55 gallons of oil they're burning. They're pumping it through the hot exhaust, making that smoke. I have flown with them. I asked about the oil. I saw the 55-gallon drum. What is that? How much you go through? So that's three months. That's 150 gallons of oil. They're burning, and is nobody complaining about that? So I don't have any problem with a little bonfire myself. if that's going on, nobody's complaining about all that and the fireworks and stuff. They complain about it, but nobody does anything about it. I've had bonfires in Walton County. I've paid guys to pull the permit for me, the beach guys, and they set the chairs up and whatnot. Did it one time. Second time I went to the fire department, got the permit myself. And second time when I pulled it myself, the code officer came by while we had the bonfire going at night, 9 o'clock at night or something, and wanted to see my permit. I had it on my phone. I can't imagine in my wildest dreams having our code compliance guys would do something like that. So I don't know, I have mixed emotions about it. I know we could control like the city beaches, you know, the 50-foot area. You could only have one down there. You couldn't just, you know, have a bunch of bonfires. But I don't know, I'm open-minded about it. I'd like to hear more about it myself. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Schmidt.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Larry, for putting this together and staff. Just a few questions so we can make sure the public that's here to hear about this item. Right now, you can't have a bonfire on the beach, private property or public property.
That's correct, not a legal one.
So if somebody on Noriega wanted to have one right there behind their house, legally they can't do that.
That's correct.
Okay. In Walton County, I think like Mr. Braden, thank you, said I've participated in a few as well myself, and it's a very thorough process, pre, during, and after. They came before we even started the bonfire to make sure you're properly there correctly, and they come afterwards as well. They hold you accountable and everything else. So like, could we, because we're just discussing tonight, we're not making any decisions of actually having bonfires tomorrow. So if we ever wanted to do this, we could say things like, we're only going to give one permit a night for one bonfire a night. Like, we could say that, right?
I would think so, yes, sir.
Like, we can limit locations of what part of the town we might want to do them in. We can limit the amount that will be given in a period of time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know when Walton County has the majority of theirs? Did you get any of that?
I did not.
Okay, it's all right. I mean, like, turtle nesting season is May 1st through October, approximately. I'm not sure if anybody's on the turtle program. Just a note, I mean, like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of bonfires in the middle of the summer, but we could also stipulate that. No bonfires May, June, July, August, something, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can somebody go on their beach house and play music and drink alcohol and non-alcoholic drinks tonight?
I would think so, yes, sir.
Okay, as long as they don't break the noise ordinance in the city of Destin.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, like, we can pick and choose things all day long. I mean, we can worry about what may or may not happen. I think our staff and the sheriff's department and the fire department are fully capable of trying to do something like this. And one of the biggest ideas that we talked about to bring it, or at least for me, was a revenue generating idea. And if we can properly do it, enforce it, make sure it's done safely, and we can raise $250,000 to $500,000 every year, you know, maybe we earmark some of that to go to certain beach renourishments, or I don't know, but we talk all the time about we need to make more money in the city without taxing the citizens and charging them fees. You know, this was just a unique idea. Nothing to do with Emerald Grand, you know, for anybody that thinks this has something to do with Emerald Grand. You know, if they're doing bonfires, if they're doing them illegally, I think that's wrong, you know. If anybody's doing bonfires illegally, I think it's wrong. So this was just an idea that somebody brought up months ago at a city council meeting, and we threw it out recently. So I'll let Mr. Destin and Mr. Bagby go, but if I could, later I will put a motion out there.
All right, with that, Councilman Destin.
Thank you, Mayor. And I was just, part of my question has been answered already, whether they were prohibited on public and private. And do we have a definition, does Walton County have a definition of beach? Because of course, as long as we're not under a fire moratorium, many of us can have a fire on our property, I believe.
A warming station.
How do we define beach?
We do have a definition of beach in our code.
And it is?
Want me to read you the definition? If you give me a minute, I will pull it up.
Okay, well, I'll go on with the discussion then. You know, bonfires, when I grew up in Destin, I lost count of how many bonfires we had over on Holiday Isle. Of course, Mr. Cadlock and all the people that live over there weren't there, so they weren't in danger. And I fully understand their belief that it may not be such a good thing and intend to listen to them. But as a property rights advocate, saying somebody on their own private property can't have a bonfire kind of strikes me as something I don't like. So, you know, I'm willing to listen to both sides of the argument. Can we do it in a safe manner? Perhaps. Walton County seems to have done it in a safe manner. I don't know if we've had any deaths associated with Walton County. Surely we would have, with bonfires in Walton County, sure we would have heard of that. But, you know, if the folks living out there don't want it, the vast majority of them, then it's a moot question as far as I'm concerned, but we'll listen to what people have to say.
Councilman Bagby. Or unless you want the definition, yes.
Oh, I was just going to read it to you.
Yep.
So it's in the LDC in Article 3, and it's the zone of unconsolidated material that extends landward from the mean low water line to the place where there is marked change in material or physiographic form or to the line of permanent vegetation, usually the effective limit of storm waves. And then it says, beach as used in the coastal management element requirements is limited to the Gulf and estuarine shorelines.
So if I get above that now, I can have a bonfire.
Yep. Yeah. We've talked about modifying it for the
Yes.
locations of the bonfires too, but that's the current definition.
And a number of other issues, if I recall, while we were grasping mightily to try to figure out where the beach was. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, Councilman Bagby.
Thank you, Mayor. Probably not a strong supporter of bonfires. Based on my experience in Walton County as the tourism director and managing a couple of the communities there, the revenue does generate some money. I've reached out to Sammy Sanchez and Carol Martin, the CFO for the fire district, because I think that number, I'm not saying y'all weren't given that number, but if they had 9,500 bonfires last year, that means they had over one per mile every single day of the year. And I know that's not, that didn't happen. I might be persuaded to support a very small beta test in one area to see, because the problem that Walton County has with it is the enforcement. They have beach vendors. The beach vendors do a great job, but they will, Walton County limits the number of bonfires that can be held on each of the public beach accesses depending on the width of the public beach access. So at One Sea Grove, they allowed 3 per night. But there would be some nights you would have 5. So 2 of the vendors were not authorized to have a bonfire, but somebody called them and said, hey, can you do a fire down here? So there they go. You also have these fly-by-night vendors who don't use a burn barrel, don't keep it off the sand, and they basically do the bonfire on the beach, and then they try to bury it in the beach there. And of course, we know what that ash does, particularly during turtle season. Would not be an advocate for them because, no offense, but people that go to bonfires, I've been to bonfires on the beach, don't understand the turtles and how you need to stay away from them and what distracts the turtles. But we can have a discussion. I just would not be in favor of an unlimited ban. I want it controlled. And the fire department's not going to enforce it. Okay, so I mean, we can have that pipe dream. It's going to be our code folks that are going to have to go down there and enforce it. Look at the permit, not look at the permit. You're not authorized. You're not 4 inches above the sand. Shut it down. And of course, nobody wants to shut down the bridal party or the reception the night before the wedding or whatever, and, you know, see the bride in tears when you start pouring water on her bonfire. So, you know, there's not a whole lot of upside. Hopefully we'll have, once I get the numbers tomorrow or the next day, I will send those to the city manager to disperse with you. But I would bet my house that it's not 9,500 bonfires in a year.
You're just going off of the price delineated out. Is there different, I thought there was tiers, perhaps, I don't know. Yeah, anyways.
Well, what's presented to us.
For sure.
Yeah. This is what's going to generate just from those permits for the bonfire.
Councilman Schmidt?
Sure, and just to make sure we're clear for anybody here, if motion is made and passes, what would have to happen is an amendment to an ordinance would have to come. First reading and a second reading.
Probably, you'd have two here and probably one at LPA,
Right.
assuming we put it in the
Okay.
LDC.
So plenty of time for possible more discussion, but I will make a motion to have city attorney and manager bring back an amended ordinance for beach bonfires. And I'll throw out a few items for that, specifically to limit the time period between months such as October through March, and also to have a vendor requirement and have one vendor be the approved vendor to do that.
Right.
Just some ideas.
All right, I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Councilwoman Trammell, you want to discuss? I know you saw your name up there.
Well, it was before you made his motion, so we'll wait to do the motion and then.
Okay. All right, Councilman Braden?
If we're doing the vendors, what do we do on city property?
They would still get a permit, the vendor would. Maybe I don't understand your question.
We don't have, I'm just saying, we don't have vendors on county beaches, on city beaches, public access. Only vendors I know of are
People could hire a vendor. Well, were you going to say something? Yeah, we would just amend the code to allow people to hire a vendor for the purpose of fires. It wouldn't be opening up to any vending, but we're just talking about fires.
So then we would be allowing a beach vendor from a private entity, condo, whatever, to go set up and make money on city property.
That's that's part of what you all are deciding. It does not have to be that way, but
That is to
under
know.
the current motion, yeah.
I mean, we could take off no city public, because we don't have much. It could only be on private property. I mean, that's fine if you want to start the discussion there. Our public beaches right now are very small. Obviously, Crystal Beach and Tarpon's coming, but I'm not suggesting just putting it in Crystal Beach. So please don't take that, Mr. Bagby, but I'm fine with changing something to, if you want.
Okay. That's all I have, man.
Okay.
All right, Councilman Destin?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure I'm prepared to go forward with an ordinance process without hearing more from the public. Tonight, we've had 3 people show up that were opposed, none who said they wanted that to happen. Rather than just vote against this, I'm going to make a substitute motion that we set it for public hearing at the first meeting in July.
What do you mean, set it for public hearing? What do you mean by that? Just,
We put it on the agenda as a public hearing and invite the public to come tell us whether they want us to do this or whether they don't.
All right, and then I had a second from Councilman Braden. Is that correct?
Braden, you second.
Did you second that? Okay, yes, sir. All right. So I have a substitute motion and a second. Any discussion on the substitute motion?
if they want to give clarification or
Yeah.
Kim, a public hearing on an item, is that what we do, or?
We can do it that way. Or we can do a first reading of an ordinance with a public hearing, but it's up to council. I think that your motion, Councilmember Destin, is to do a public hearing without an ordinance.
Exactly.
Could we get some of these additional data points and clarifications brought at that public hearing? Is that
Sure.
is that okay?
Sure, I don't mind discussing it, but it's a little premature to go into an ordinance.
Yeah, that's
process.
fine. I was just trying to get it brought to us, so thank you for
I don't have a
suggesting that
problem with
option instead.
Well, we could put together a staff report that has some information.
turned it on.
Button.
I thought it was on, sorry. We will put together a staff report that has information so that when
You
the
guys could
public-
limit the side chatter out there, please. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. With that, I have my motion and second. I will call the vote on the sub. All right. Ayes have it unanimously moved 6-0. All right. Moving along. Mr. Larry Jones. or
So the
Kim.
next item, 4481B Luke Avenue, is a proposed agreement that arose because of some confusion that occurred between staff and this property owner with regard to what they were permitted to do on their property. They expended some money after getting certain direction from staff, and then they received different information after the money had been spent. So to resolve it, we are suggesting a temporary agreement that allows them to use their property in a certain way only during the time that they reside on the property, and once they sell the property, the agreement would be null and void. So this is in the Crystal Beach neighborhood zoning district where short-term rentals are allowed, and the resident would be, under this agreement, would be permitted to use their attached unit as a short-term rental with themselves living in the primary home as a resident.
All right. With that, Councilman Braden up first.
Thank you, Mayor. I had discussed with the staff on my agenda briefing about this one. You know, I've personally went to the city, and I know a lot of contractors, we've been bitching about it for years, several builders in town. You call the city, ask the city, you know, hey, can I do such and such? Yeah, that's good. Sure. Well, you do it, and then you get your inspection, and they fail it because of what you just asked and what you did, what the city said. And they pull the code up, and it says, well, or the ordinance or whatever, and it says you can't do it. Well, then I get this from staff, well, it's your responsibility as a builder, homeowner, whoever, to read the ordinance or the whatever it is, setbacks, whatever it is, it's your responsibility, or your builder, or hire an engineer or something. It's not the city staff. Just because they say, yeah, you can do it, they're not going to back you up on it when it comes down to inspection. So do we all get our money back from the money that we have spent doing things and have to redo it? Because it was our responsibility. And I don't know how this came down. If the city said, yeah, you can build it, you know. I know when I fill out a permit, it's, you know, it's what it's for. What are you building? What is it for? What are you going to do with it? Yada, yada, yada. So was that not on the application? It's going to be a short-term rental structure or what? So with that being said, I mean, I can't support it. It's myself. We've been arguing about it for years, and, you know, and it's just because the city, and I don't even know if the city even said anything about it, to be honest with you. But I've been told for years, it's my responsibility to know what I'm doing. You know what I'm building, whether it's right or wrong. So I can't support it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. Councilwoman Hebert.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm kind of on the same line as with Rodney. When we have these people that tell us, you know, well, I called and talked to someone on the city staff, and they said, yeah, you can do that. I want to know that we have something in place that our staff never gives a verbal and says, send that to us in email, then we can verify it in the code so that you have something in writing.
So maybe, just to let you know, there was some stuff in writing on email, and I neglected to say at the beginning, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but the property owners requesting this are here and can probably fill you in on what happened, and they're kind of motioning to me that they want to speak. So maybe we could hear from them, and then y'all can make your decision if that's acceptable.
All right.
All right. If you guys want to come up. All right. Just push that button, that gray button in the middle. There we go.
All right. Thank you for having me come back, and thank you everyone who has been putting some time into this this topic. We've been working on this for about a year now, trying to get some resolution, as you all know. The facts are, I do appreciate what you're saying, sir, about, you know, is it our responsibility to, at the final note, to be looking these, you know, these items over ourselves and trying to see if what the city is doing and guiding us in the right direction, and ultimately for us to read ourselves all the laws pertaining to our situations. Here's the situation. I do believe that there should be some accountability from the city to be able to give something to the homeowner. We don't pull the permit. In fact, I could not get my own contractors in. I had to hire a GC who's taken over a project. But why is the homeowner not getting any written notices as to what everything is along with our permits? I mean, that would have been part of it right there if I were able to do some homework myself. But I have received nothing from the city going along with this. And then when I did, a lot of the work was done. I kept getting yeses. We're fine, we're fine. You put the door here. Everything was a yes. They knew darn well it was a short-term rental. But at the end of the day, I'm falling flat on my face here. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it was ridiculous, except for after a year, I'm exhausted. I feel like we should be able to go forward and take some full responsibility as the homeowner, making sure that this is a safe residence, making sure that we're in a safe area, and we are going to be there 24/7 to be able to look this property over. Like, we have the best interests of the community as well. In fact, because we are year-round in that very condensed short-term rental area, we have the opportunity to help all of our homeowners around us because we are there as the watchdogs. And I understand you are short-staffed on trying to get that whole area covered. And we're there to make sure that there's not 20,000 cars or cars parked in the sidewalks and as such. But again, we're there. We did everything we were supposed to. I know there's some question about the parking and the bedrooms. We did everything we were supposed to as far as getting the engineer report CO'd for the parking spot. We have everything all in line for a short-term rental. Everything, soup to nuts. And now we would just like to be able to perform there. You know, we believe we have an agreement that is a fair resolution to this. And I would really like to move forward on that. And I would really appreciate your vote in this. And if we were to move or pass on to our children, they wouldn't have the same right. We're talking about while we're there. And that could happen tomorrow, and it could happen 10 years perhaps from now. But we would take full responsibility, and it would be null and void after we leave the premises.
Mayor, can I ask you a question?
Please, yep.
Do you have anything from the city saying that you can build what you was building for short-term rental, or the property addition you were building is short-term rental? You have anything like that from the city? The city was.
We do have an email where there was the discussion to confirm that, and then it was pulled back. My apologies, we were inaccurate, and that kind of speaks loudly for the whole city, the whole city process here, that we were led down the path that this is not a problem. Even when we had the person come for the CO for the property. I mean, he knew we were going to do a short-term rental, so, like, everyone knew. I mean, how did this fall apart?
I know, I mean, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the parking and all that is the requirement's going to be the same for short-term rentals or for, I guess, a regular home, because where you live is in a short-term residential or short-term residential area. I'd just like to see something from the city that said, you know, where they knew that this was a short-term rental and you were going to be living there, and they allowed you to build it as that.
Well, in the whole situation towards the building part of it and trying to get our permits, we understood that it was a short-term rental. They understood clearly, and even to the point of, oh, wait, now we can't. We just found something. When I came down, after I got my CO, and I came down to do the change of use so I could have a rental in my home, I was willing to forego the homestead and making sure that I was doing everything right. So I came down and we spoke again, and then that's when I received an email stating, I know that we told you this, but now, oh, I'm sorry. That's not the case because of this code. If you read it, this is really what it means. So I don't feel like even the city was maybe clear on it themselves, to be honest. But
I understand what you're saying.
Perhaps I'm wrong.
I understand what you're saying as far as, everybody knew, or assumed everybody knew what was going on. The city knew it was short-term rental because we just changed an ordinance and had a first reading, second reading, changed an ordinance to allow AMVETs to buy a facility in an industrial park, and we did a whole process, took months. And once that was done, then they come to get it, and the staff's like, well, no, you can't do that because it's an industrial park. We didn't know exactly the location of it until we got the actual address. And I was the one that made those motions and spearheaded that and got that done. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't have the address? We're changing this whole ordinance to allow this organization to go in industrial parks where it wasn't allowed, or next to a church. So to say that the city knew all along what was going on and was on board with it, I mean, this was just a month ago.
And sir, in all respect, I understand what you're saying, but perhaps the whole city planning did not know. Perhaps some did and some didn't. It turns out the ones that I was working with did know we were going to go for a short-term rental. And this is the problem I'm having, is at the end of the day, now I'm the one that's being told, oh, I'm sorry, that's not what we meant. We can't do this.
I agree.
I have that in an
I just
email.
went through that whole process, and it was aggravating.
I have that in an
That's all.
email.
I
so-
just love to be able to see something that you got from the city saying, being a short-term rental, that, yeah, you could build it or it's fine or whatever, until it got down to the actual bottom, end of the line, and then they denied you.
Yeah. All right. And we got plenty more to go, so I appreciate the points. No, you're good. Councilman Destin.
And I did.
Thank you, Mayor. It appears that the fact that she has an email from the city saying, we made a mistake, you can't do this after all, means that she was told you could do this. I think this agreement is a fair compromise. It goes away the moment that they leave the house. And the fact that they're going to be at the house addresses all the legislative intent behind our attempts to try to regulate short-term rentals, such as the parking and the garbage and all that. If they're there, then they can control that. I wish every short-term rental had the landlord living with them. Then we would have a whole lot less problems. So, to my mind, this is a fix that will go away the moment they leave, and is a fair way to treat them in a compromise, and hopefully we won't make a mistake like that again. So I'll make a motion that we approve the agreement.
All right. I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All right. And then I have further discussions. Are you done, Councilman
I'm
Destin? I got a few more. Councilman Schmidt?
Yeah, just clarification on this email. You're saying that our staff told you could do something, and then months later after it was done, they said they made a mistake? Is that what I heard?
I don't know when and how it happened, but yes, in the last...
Well, was it the next day that this happened, or was it months later? Was it a year later? Is there a staff member that can answer that question? Did she build something and then we went back, or was it like the day after they went to Home Depot and bought the supplies we told her?
So the first thing is the permits explain that it can't be rented. But she never saw the permits. Her agent, her contractor did not let her know that. Sure. The city was very clear all the way through the permits. Okay, and then when it was close to, I think, being completed, okay, first of all, she wanted an ADU, and the density wouldn't allow it. So then the city said, well, you can have an addition. In fact, if you look in there, it talks about the building has to communicate so that it's an addition and not a separate dwelling unit. They got all that worked out. They're working that out with the contractor. And so anyway, so they're almost done. They're going through the final inspections. And I think that's when you contacted, it was in October, and incorrectly staff said you could have a single occupancy rental. And then I think about a week or two later, I think this happened in October of last year, and then about a week or two later, they corrected, okay?
So it wasn't the very beginning stages.
It wasn't
the
at the-
permitting stages. Y'all said she could do it.
Correct.
It
wasn't
it was at the end. You
Right.
accidentally said she.
And
could
if her contractor had been communicating with her, he would have told her that what the permit allowed and what it didn't allow.
Right, part of it was a lack of communication from the contractor in the beginning, but this property owner came to the council previously, and y'all told us to try to work it out with her, and that's why we are here. So the discrepancies at the end happened, and the failure of the contractor to communicate in the beginning happened,
Gotcha.
right?
And
It's a
it's
combination
been a
of
while,
both.
so forgive me if you answer this, but what's the deal with your contractor now? Where is he or she?
Our contractor is not anywhere where we're in communication at all.
Like, did they finish the job? You paid them and it's all done?
I actually had 98% of it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had somebody else finish it off for the COs.
Okay. So somebody else finished it because
Yes,
of
sir.
this all stuff that transpired. Right. Okay. Just so, to your point about.
No, he was out of the picture before anything
Oh,
because
okay.
he was not willing to do some things to finish it for the CO. He wanted more money, so we had somebody else
Gotcha.
finish it.
Just to your point about you as the owner not being notified, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but, you know, if I go hire an attorney to go do something for me, you know, they're going to be dealing with whatever I ask them to deal with. You know, I don't think every single property owner should be CC'd during a permit process if a general contractor is pulling permits, you know, so if you want to be CC'd, I imagine they would definitely include you, but I think the staff just deals with the professional contractor or whoever wants to pull permits, I would assume, just like if I hire somebody to do something, but I hate it, you know, it's a tough situation. I wish that contractor is he a local contractor?
Yes, he is, and I understand that there's several other people having problems
okay.
with him. So I
Gotcha.
would like, and the city is well aware of him.
Gotcha.
And the city is well aware.
But when you
So
got the permit, they
I'm
said
wondering
you
what's
can't.
being done there too. Where
Right.
does that go? That's
Got it.
another
Okay.
totally great conversation for sure.
Thank you very much.
Councilman Bagley?
Thanks. So I'll pick up there. Do you have a lawsuit pending against this contractor?
No, I do not.
Okay. When was the first permit pulled?
Yeah, the application was 7/25/2023.
7/25/23. So July to October, 15 months, we told the contractor, who failed to tell the owners, that this could not be used for a short-term rental. And we were consistent for that entire 15 months.
Yes.
And then for a 2-week period, we said yes, right? And then we said no. I'm just trying to get all the facts and evidence here, so I'm trying to figure this out.
Yes, so, correct. And then at, I think the staff was trying to find a way for, so the applicant, the homeowner, to find a way to, she thought she was going to be able to do, rent out the room as a short-term rental, right? Is that correct? Okay, and I think staff was looking at this and trying, and mistakenly said, you can live in the home and rent it out as a single occupancy short-term rental. And then realized they had made a mistake and corrected it within a week or 2 weeks. I can't remember the exact time
Okay.
frame.
All right, and so did we, because you can build an ADU, when did you can't build a separate structure, you have to build an addition come into play? When was the change there?
Sure. So the original permit came in as a unit that was attached to the primary structure, but did not communicate, meaning you
Okay.
could not access it from inside the house. You had to go externally, right?
Okay.
That attachment is considered an accessory dwelling unit, and during the review process, staff recognized that and said, hey, you can't have an ADU on here because it exceeds density limitations. So in order for you to do this, that was August 8th. In order for you to do this, you got to be able to make the unit, you got to make this area communicate with the primary structure internally.
Okay, so.
And there was a condition, the condition didn't come in until once we approved it, but essentially it was
2 weeks. So they applied in July 25th. On August 8th, 2 weeks later, we said, no, you can't do an ADU, you have to do an addition. And so the plans
And the addition, and the addition was approved on the 18th of August, 2023.
So 10 days later, we approved, once they brought us back the changed plans that had the two structures communicating.
correct, with a condition stating that this cannot be rented as an STR.
Okay, so that was in there in the approved plans.
Correct.
Okay.
And also the permit was identified as owner occupied, not as an STR. But staff recognizes these permits from time
On
to
the
time.
application on the plans?
Correct.
Okay. And were they signed just by the general contractor?
As the applicant, probably, I can confirm that. Just give
Okay.
me one moment.
I mean, I'm want to support Mr. Destin's motion, but I am just, I get Mr. Braden's point. Is this, while we're waiting on that, so, are you Barry? That's Barry, okay.
Sorry.
I didn't know. Because it was an IE and I was
Yeah,
like.
it's an IE at the end.
Yeah, it should be a Y. So are you in good health?
I am.
Okay, good. Because if something happens to you, you know this deal would go completely away, right?
Right. But anything can happen tomorrow, and I know it's going to go away. My kids know it's going to go away. It's
Okay.
nothing being promised to them whatsoever.
Okay, is this?
This is just for us to be able to afford the affordability, what we thought we put into.
I got a lot of neighbors in your same position that we changed our covenants so that they could rent in our neighborhood, which was non-rental when we bought, because they would have all lost their house, not all of them, but a bunch of them would have lost their houses. Is the property homesteaded?
Right now it is.
Okay, so that's an issue for me, all right? Because,
I'm changing it.
She's changing it.
I didn't change it because I want to make sure this happens.
Right, okay.
This would be a, I would lose my homestead privileges.
yes.
And I
just want
realize
to make
that.
sure that we don't sign this or agree to it until the homestead status is changed. So now you guys have had plenty of time to look up and see who signed that application. See, I bought you a little time.
Yeah, just the contractor signed the application.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Aber.
Thank you, and I was still talking to you whenever they went off course here and everyone else was asking you questions. So some of my questions got answered, but the takeaway is this was something that got all muddied because the communication wasn't there. And this contractor that has basically not been very good at taking care of you or others in the area, our city knows who that is so that we can make sure this contractor doesn't get jobs in Destin, so that he doesn't mislead people. I mean, I don't know if that could be said or not.
I'll
I'm just
fill in
saying.
for Councilman Guile. Hi, Councilman Guile. As your roofer, Councilman Guile, may I suggest that you go to the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulations, also known as DBPR, and file your illegal or fraudulent contractor complaint.
So
Moving on.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Yes. That would
Yes.
help everyone
Yes.
else, okay?
Yes.
And then, of course, that you will renege on your homestead as soon as
Yes.
you get this through. So I will back you.
All right.
Thank you.
Councilman Braden, final words?
Yep, last ones. Seems like this is I still have the same opinion you did last time. This is between the homeowner and the builder. Doesn't sound like the city, it's not between the homeowner and the city staff. I mean, it's not like the city staff may have muddied it up for a week or two, but it's been going on for a couple of years. So, and how are we going to know when this property sells?
As honest as I am right now, where I didn't try to do this behind the city's back and try to do anything illegal. I'm a,
There's an annual registration.
there's got to be a way to do this.
There's an annual registration that she would have to do as a short-term rental owner, and it tells the city who owns the property, but also the agreement provides not only if she doesn't reside there anymore, and not only if she sells the property, but if she fails to register as a short-term rental, that unit for a year, she loses it then also. So we'll know.
But
It's
we
just
have-
a matter of our files have to be
But
properly registered.
we have no way of knowing whether she sold that house or not. If she sells it 2 weeks from now or 10 years from now, we'll have no idea.
When the short-term rental
We
application.
can't keep up with parking spaces in the city of Destin. Now, we're renting parking places to, the same parking place to 18 different vendors down there.
Okay. Point taken, point taken. All right, Councilman Bagby, final shot.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask the motion maker and the second if they would amend their motion to include that it's not finally approved until the exemption is withdrawn and
Contingent.
confirmed. Yeah, the homestead exemption, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll apply tomorrow.
I have no problem.
All right, with that, I got my motion second. The board is cleared for discussion. Ray, if you can call the vote for me. Thank you for being here. All right, 4 yeses, 2 noes. Ayes have it, so moved. All right.
So the next item is an engagement letter with the Warner Law Firm for the requested city litigation for the beach vending. This is coming from the last meeting where you all directed us to look at an attorney to file a lawsuit against beach vendors who are violating the code and not complying. So we recommend the Warner Law Firm. They are handling the insurance defense on the case where the city is being sued, so they're very familiar with the issues, and they are willing to provide their same rates that they provide to the insurance company, so it's very, very highly competitive.
All right, with that, do I have a motion for this topic? Councilman Destin.
I'll make the recommended motion that we engage the Warner Law Firm to take this item and run with it. And I will ask the City Finance Director to bring back to us a recommendation of how we shift the money. I know that, what was a meeting before last where we had 2 code enforcement issues where I think we would have a total of some $120,000 or $30,000 that we would gain through those. I would think that would be an appropriate place. And until such as time as we get those monies, we would just take it out of general revenue.
I'll second.
Got a motion, got a second. Any further discussions? Yep. Oh, here you go. Okay. Everyone's got an opinion. Councilman Bagby.
Just so I understand the motion, we're limiting it to $30,000, which is what the expected costs the Warner Law Firm gave us?
That is the expected estimate for the first year.
I want a limit. I don't want to, I won't vote for something that doesn't have a spending limit on it. I'm not.
Yeah, this is his proposal, so you are welcome to modify it.
I'm just asking if, 30,000,
There's no cap.
because I
Not
don't want
yet.
a blank check.
There's no
to-
cap.
We thought
in the
you were
agreement.
coming for that. No.
There's no cap, so if you want one, you would put it in the motion.
We will put in the motion that in order to go past that number.
Turn your mic on.
Put in the motion that in order to go past that number, it would take council approval, like every litigation I think we've ever done.
Nope, I'm fine with that. I just want a number.
All right, and
All
Councilwoman
okay,
Aber,
second.
all right, we're good with that.
Okay. I want to engage with the sheriff's office. I have my doubts on, I agree we have to do something. I think we all agree we have to do something. But I want to ask the sheriff what they're doing to help us do this, and if there's action you think we need to take in the form of an ordinance that gives you something to go down there and write a ticket or give them bracelets or whatever. No, I'm serious. This is out of control, so.
Currently, what we're doing right now is when our deputies see a violation, they contact code and let them know that the violation is taking place. They'll keep an eye on the person until code has a chance to get there. If code lets us know that they need help because the violator has either potentially been ugly in the past with them or is, they think they may cause a problem, we'll sit there and do security for them. In order for us to take action, it would have to be moved out of the land development code into the actual code. Because we don't do land development code, we only do code by the contract, and then also we would have to figure out exactly what it is that the city wants us to do. The sheriff's office has got no taste for regulating business. Now, I have been in contact, or I've talked to Steve, and I've also talked to Mr. Larry about it. I don't consider someone operating down there without a permit to be us regulating business. When I say that we're not going to regulate business, I'm talking about if we have someone down there who has been permitted to do a business, but the city's just not happy with the way that that business is being conducted. We've got no flavor for that, but we are willing to sit down and discuss with the city the possibility of us looking at it from the standpoint of they're not actually operating a business, they're in violation. And all those discussions have been based around the city providing us with an additional beach unit.
Okay, so when we get dispensed with this business, I will revisit some direction to the city manager to sit down with you. But the reason I don't think, I'm skeptical, I'll just put it like this, because if they were afraid of our code or they were afraid of what we could do to them through our code, they would have already stopped. And I just think that they will just keep pushing until somebody is perp walked off that beach and their little thing is floating away in the Gulf as the surf comes in.
They're not going to be any more concerned about the sheriff's office enforcing your code than they are about your code enforcement officers enforcing your code.
Well, Captain Fulgham, could we make it a misdemeanor in our code of ordinances where it's punishable by 60 days in jail?
You could make it a misdemeanor when it's punishable by arrest and 500 or up to.
That's where I want to go.
$500 and 60 days in prison.
Yeah, $500 and up to 60 days.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
you could make that.
I will revisit that once we get this all. I'm not going to make a substitute motion because I think let's pursue. I want to pursue on multiple avenues. I want
to go Facebook Live when this happens. Oh my God. Councilman Braden.
Thank you. This may be a question for Steve. It was said tonight by a public member that I believe during the Memorial Weekend that there was only maybe a couple of warnings written, but it was my understanding there was $500 citations written.
Yeah, since the previous council meeting, there actually been 11 $500 citations issued and 3 verbal or written warnings issued. 6 of those $500 have been issued to repeat offenders. Another 4 issued to another repeat offender, and then one $500 was issued to a vendor that had not operated for quite some time, but I think was just trying to take advantage of the Memorial Day weekend.
Thank you.
Councilman Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I can't support this engagement letter. One, I can't support a blank check engagement letter process. I can't support using the citizens of Destin's money to go hire a law firm out of really nowhere, and rather than using the process that we have in the city of Destin already. Somebody said we haven't done anything. We've done a lot the past few months. I feel like we had the damn SWAT team out there tracking down ice cream people constantly. But we have people complaining in the city multiple times throughout our streets about trash in people's yards, about RVs and driveways, about all sorts of things that they get the shaft for years. For years. Things don't happen. People blocking sidewalks, people parking illegally. From my understanding, I have yet to hear anything about this beach problem except for one particular citizen and business owner. Ms. Harbaugh, I believe, is her name. Harbarger. and I support her and her small business, so not against her. I don't know what's the problem down there, and maybe I'm just missing out, and if I am, I'd love to be educated. That's fine. I think we haven't even taken like the magistrate process, I don't think, with these people. Have we?
Yeah, they're scheduled. They haven't
Have they been to the magistrate?
They're scheduled in 2 weeks.
Right. But we're already going to go write a blank check to go hire a law firm to bring an injunction to take them to court? Or what does that do?
Yeah, that's what that is.
Why don't we let them come to the magistrate and to see what happens? You know, I just don't, I'm confused really why we're wanting to spend citizens' money on something like this that I've yet to hear other issues with this involved. So I can't support it. It's not about any of that other personal stuff. It doesn't make sense to me.
Kim, on that, the special magistrate versus the injunction, can you kind of give us a little
Yeah, so
delineator?
there's actually a lot going on that we haven't talked about in meetings because there's pending litigation. We do have an executive session in 2 weeks, though. But I'll say that there were citations that are going to judges. There is a special magistrate case that's going on later this month. There's multiple enforcement mechanisms. The difference is that if we go through this process of hiring an outside attorney, that would be bringing our own lawsuit to a third-party tribunal, which is the Circuit Court of Okaloosa County, instead of our special magistrate. The citations, actually, that were issued haven't been paid, and so they're being disputed, and so it takes a while to get to the judge, but eventually those will get to a judge, which is also outside of our magistrate process. It's just that the city doesn't have control over the speed of that.
Then I guess for the special magistrate, my understanding is then it always goes to a lien of a property or something tangible inside the city. Is there any teeth for them to be held to if they disappear tomorrow and they just can never show back
Well,
up in
if they
Destin?
disappeared tomorrow, that would be compliance because they're not supposed to be there.
I guess
so that would
I'm
be
sorry.
a good thing.
In 3 weeks, the
Whenever
idea of
they
I guess
disappeared,
the teeth. I'm curious
whenever
on
they disappeared would be the goal because
Yeah.
the goal is to stop
For
the vending on the
compliance,
beach.
yeah.
But yeah, the special magistrate process, if they're found in violation, then they would have a time for compliance and whatever the magistrate sets. And then after that, if they are not in compliance by the date that the magistrate sets, then they have to go back for a second hearing where the lien is imposed. That could be anywhere from $50 to $250 a day the first time. And then if they did it again, that fine could go up to $500 per day. And it's not just when they're violating at that point, it's every day
Yeah.
until it's in compliance.
And then that lien goes on to what? For a business that's not legal
Anything
in
that they
Destin?
own,
Anything they own.
real
Oh.
or personal property in the county that it's recorded.
That's interesting. Okay.
If it's homesteaded though, we can't.
Yes. All right. Councilman Destin?
I think you just made the pertinent point, Mayor. If you don't have property in the county to lien against, then what's the alternative? We turn it over to a collection agency? That's the
Do
difference.
you know if they have property?
I'm sorry?
Do you know if they have property?
No, I do not. I think
Right.
they do not have property.
I don't know.
My understanding is they do not, but I do not know that.
Is that
for a
from
fact.
our staff?
The difference is when you go to the court has the ability to, if they don't do what they're told to do, to put them in jail.
Right, but we're just going off of assumptions though,
The assumption of what?
that they don't have property.
And what I'm pointing out is what the enforcement powers of the special magistrate are. If
But it's
you
a
have-
process.
If you have no property, then the special magistrate can only lien, has a problem because there's nothing to lien.
Right, I don't disagree with you, it's just, I'm saying though, yes, they don't have a building on the harbor with a big sign on it, but we don't know what they do or don't have until we go through the magistrate process, is all I'm trying to get at.
And you're exactly right.
Okay.
But we know that that is not a issue with the circuit court. Property or no property, you do what they say or you go to the jail.
All right. Councilman Bagby?
Yeah, and that's why I will support this. And here's a little bit of why I'm not a big fan of this avenue of approach is because when's this next special magistrate hearing?
June 17th.
June 17th. and the magistrate's going to hear, and the magistrate has to give them some time to correct their bad behavior, 30 to 60 days. And that takes you to
End of summer.
either July 17th or August 17th, at which point, you know, who the heck cares? I know my wife is watching, so I'm trying to behave here. And so that's why I will make another motion after we vote on this one, because we're trying and we're doing something, and yes, it's better than just the special magistrate. I will grant you that, but we need to do more.
All right, with that,
Mr. Bagby, just remember this conversation in 2 weeks as well, about the magistrate and about the 60 days and 90. Let's just keep it on top of your minds, just a memo.
I always remember that.
Good.
Yeah. I'm never happy with because code is the same way. Code has to give you time to correct your behavior. And
Let's vote.
all right, with that, Ray, I got the motion in second. If you can cast.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Some clarification on the motion.
Oh, you haven't been following us?
I have.
I haven't been following us either.
Mr. Destin seemed to have added something to the recommended motion.
Okay.
And I just want to find out if that's part of the motion, which is capping the litigation cost of $30K, and to exceed that cost requires council approval. I think is that part of the motion, right?
Yep. And Councilwoman Aber, the second, agreed with it. All right, so with that, Ray, if you can open the vote. All right, ayes have it, 5-1. Jim, you have anything for that?
Sorry. I would like to make a motion to direct the city manager and the city attorney to sit down with the sheriff's office and bring us back a plan to put this in an enforceable code, not the land development code, to preclude this action.
I'll second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion on the direction? Seeing none. Oh, Councilman Braden.
Is this, I'm sorry, does this have to have a supermajority because it's not on the agenda?
I would assume so, yes. Yeah, with it not being on the agenda, yeah, it would take a supermajority, yes, sir.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, I would say while it's topical, it's not pertinent. Yep. All right, so we'll call the vote. That's super, yeah. We need 5, 6, it's still 4. Okay. All right, still passes. There you go. Appreciate you. All right, motion passes. Mr. Larry Jones, you're still with us.
All of me. So the last item on our agenda are the draft minutes for the standing committees and boards for your information. But I do have just a few announcements. As we mentioned earlier, due to a water line strike on Holiday Isle, we had a meeting with the Gigapower folks, and we imposed the same $500,000 bond requirement for them that we did on Live Oak. For all of those, we suspended all work on Fridays, and they're working from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday is the only permitted time. As we said earlier, nothing in the Highway 98 right-of-way or south of there except our undergrounding ADS contract and those that are working in conjunction with them. We're going to issue one permit at a time in a very limited scope so we can make sure of where these people are working. And we won't issue another permit until they've completed those and have repaired any damage that they may have caused. The only exception to that will be where they're doing installs to end users, which may allow them to bore or dig on the private property, but not in the right-of-way. So that's the undergrounding. We were asked to have a conversation with DEP about enforcing of vending on the beach in their position. We're fairly clear that while they may or may not allow vending on the beach, they're not going to take any enforcement action unless someone's either put a permanent or semi-permanent structure in the beach. However, they said for us to define beach pretty much any way we wanted to, and if we had an ordinance that says no vending on the beach, we could determine what we would consider the beach. And they wouldn't, offer any opinion whether we were right or wrong. You each got an email, not this past Friday, but a week ago Friday, regarding the pause contract in animal control. As I said in my email, I was shocked that at 4 o'clock I got an email that said at 5 o'clock they were terminating our agreement, which was really bizarre to me, but that happened. And fortunately, our good friends in Walton County provided us coverage for Memorial Day weekend, but I don't think they had any calls. Since then, we have began looking at whatever options are available, and they're somewhat limited, but we're looking at if there's anyone in town that could provide the animal control component, not necessarily the housing, but we're also, hopefully we'll have a conversation with Paul's later this week to see exactly where things have got sideways and if there's any potential there to move forward. So just an update there. We had a couple of calls last week, but nothing that didn't resolve themselves. So we'll continue that effort. Just to let you know, we had our pre-bid meeting for the Crosstown Connector. There were 8 contractors there, so hopefully we'll get some competitive pricing out of that process. And that's my announcements, and I believe Dr. Young has some for you.
Yes, thank you. Our library has received a $2,500 general literacy grant. It's a nationwide grant that supports programs in 48 states. Also with the library, the summer reading program is up and running, and it'll go through August 2nd. The kickoff bash was this past Friday, and over 200 people attended, and 14,000 minutes of reading has been logged so far since then. June 9th, we have our workshop to talk about the SRS results for Town Center and improvements throughout various city spaces. Doors will be open at the Annex at 5 p.m. for those wanting to walk around and view the visioning boards and ask questions of our community development staff. Then at 5:30 p.m., we'll kick the meeting off with council. The public is encouraged to come out that night and share their thoughts and feedback for the city's future. Following the SRS workshop, we'll have our budget workshop. And again, that is June 9th. We've submitted as a city our concerns regarding the state of the navigational aids out at East Pass. We've received a number of concerns from constituents about that. And that is a project that has been in the restoration project that has been wanted for many years. We're working with Alex Fogg and Congressman Petronis's office to encourage the United States Coast Guard to fix this. The USCG with Lieutenant Larry Schad, who's the Marine Safety Detachment Supervisor, are the overseers responsible for that. We did have a meeting this afternoon, a telephone meeting with Colonel Fountain, who's the congressional liaison for Congressman Petronis, and he was adamant in wanting you all reassured that they are on top of it and doing everything they can right now to make sure that gets funded as soon as possible. We reopened the Children's Park at Morgan Sports Center on May 24th with lots of excited families, and the official ribbon cutting of that will be Monday, June 16th at 10 a.m. On Friday, June 20th, from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m., Parks and Rec is hosting its first Friday Night Bites event at Destin Elementary School, and there'll be live music and food trucks and other fun things. We'll, of course, be putting out all of these event information and details on our official Facebook page, as well as on our website. Lastly, we were asked to look into doing more utility wraps. We had done 4 or 5 last year. We have narrowed it down to 2, and they are both on Airport Road. One's on the corner of Airport and Main. It's the green box, the FPL box, that's right next to the white church. And then the other one is kitty corner, the gray box, and that's actually city's responsibility. So the FPL process has changed a little bit. It's a little more thorough on what they require. So we have submitted everything along with preliminary designs for that. for kind of a subtle look because there's a lot of greenery already on that corner. Then the opposite end, we're going to look at something just a little bit splashier with a kind of American focus. We've got the American Legion right across from it. So, but well on the way to getting those done in 2025. I said that was last. Maybe I really should say this. We've gotten pinged a couple of times tonight. There was a 7-year-old boy missing. He'd been out paddleboarding at Blue Water Bay earlier today. There was an aqua alert that went out for him. Happy to say that he has been found safe. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right, moving along, public hearings. Ms. Kimberly Kopp.
This is ordinance number 2025-10LC, an ordinance of the City of Destin, Florida, reducing certain setbacks for townhomes within the high-density residential HDR zoning district, amending Table 7.3, Table of Dimensional Regulations, providing for authority, providing for findings of fact, providing for incorporation into the Land Development Code, providing for conflicting provisions, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
And seeing that this is a public hearing at this time, if anyone from the public wishes to speak on this topic, this would be your one and only time to do so for this reading. Seeing none, we'll close the public comments for the public hearing of 5A, and I will entertain a motion. Councilman Destin? No? Good.
Mayor, I move that the City Council approve ordinance 25-10-LC.
All right, I have a motion. Do I hear a second? Second by Councilwoman Trammell. Any further discussions? Councilman Destin? Yep, okay, jump on in.
Okay, since we're on first reading on this, I can only take it for granted that this is clearly a legislative act. City Attorney?
Yes.
Okay, and I was looking for where the legislative sponsor was. Did I miss it?
Not on there. Was there a legislative sponsor?
Teresa, are you the sponsor?
Yeah.
I stand corrected. Okay, now we'll go to the.
Put it on there, but I know there was one.
We'll go to the,
Mr.
we'll
Ray
go to the
Bailey.
merits of the issue.
All right, hold up. Ray, go ahead.
I have Councilmember Aber on the list.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
I guess I read through that too quickly, huh?
Crossing them T's.
Okay. On the issue itself, if we're going to reduce the setbacks, that increases the footprint that townhouse projects can have?
Yeah, the issue has been that backyard decks have been, they've.
I understand. The issue is
So yes,
that people are not following the code, so therefore we need to change the code, so when they don't follow the code, they're not in violation. Is that where we're going?
question was for staff, was there a reason to require the 10 as opposed to 5? Is there an
Yeah.
issue that 10 feet would resolve and not 5? And the answer that we got was no, and there has been inconsistency in permitting over the past 15 years there. So yeah, that was the reason for the ordinance, but
Yeah,
council can
and
deny it if you don't like it.
I couldn't support that, if we're going to change the ordinance because nobody's complying, so we'll just change the ordinance, in addition to the fact that we're expanding the footprint for townhouse projects. Both of those would not gain support from me, so I would say that we do not need to do this.
All right. Anyone else? Yep, go on in.
So would you grandfather in the 8 or how many ever we have now?
So, I see, go ahead. That was for.
Either one of you can answer.
I suppose that would be consistent with the position I've taken on a couple of other issues.
Okay.
And if that's the fallback position, then I would support that, but we need to enforce the setback and not change it to half of what it was in going forward.
There are individuals in the area that received permits from the city for decks that encroach into the setback. There are now other neighbors that want the same permit. And now the city's saying no, but the city said yes previously to others doing the same thing. This is many years ago. That staff is no longer even with the city, so it's not current staff, but this occurred, so that's why the question to staff was, do we need a 10-foot setback? Because if we do, we won't proceed with taking this to council. But the answer was 5 feet is just as good in the area, so that's why we're proposing it. But I don't know if staff wants to address 10 versus 5 feet.
This kind of goes back to a question that we brought to council and the LPA during the LDC draft rewrite about the separation of primary structures and having fire code, the 10-foot separation of buildings with the fire code and everything. So if we go to 5 feet on setbacks on one side and 5 feet on the other, we still achieve the same 10-foot setback per fire code. So that was essentially the reasoning behind not having an issue with the setback at 5 feet.
And my experience is that I guess the setback is not going to apply to decks, accessories. What is it? It does apply or doesn't apply to the building itself?
It would apply to anything that is a structure, and a deck would be a structure.
Okay, so we've reduced the setback from 20 feet between two on different properties to 10 feet?
No, in the HDR district, the rear setback is 10 feet currently.
Okay, so is it going to be 5 feet?
Yeah, the ordinance would be 5 feet, yes.
Okay, so that's half a 10, right?
Correct.
All right, you guys are confusing me. So what we're doing is we're going to reduce the setback by half, correct?
Yes.
Bad move, in my opinion, but the council can vote the way they want.
All right, Councilman.
If the alternative is, as Mr. Bagby said, to try to grandfather the 8 or whatever it is that are there now, and then stick with the one we have and try to enforce it correctly and not give permits, then that's a reasonable alternative. But just to reduce the setback to half of what it is now, not a good idea.
All right, Councilman Bagby.
Do we have, in that area, do we have an impervious requirement? Or a pervious requirement?
Yes, there is an open space requirement in HDR. It's 25%. Okay.
So, because my concern that I didn't think about, so I apologize, Mr. Pritchard, this afternoon was, now you got these bigger, everything seems to get bigger and bigger, and then it becomes impervious, but we're not recommending any change to that open space requirement. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, Councilman Braden.
Thank you. Did all these properties have a permit? Was open, satisfied, all that?
I'll let staff respond
Are
to
we
that.
gonna-
I don't think so. I
To
think
staff's
it's
knowledge, some of them have been permitted
Yeah.
and some of them have not.
Yeah.
So we're just going to grandfather somebody in that just did something illegal?
No, this ordinance doesn't grandfather anybody in.
Oh, well,
That was
that's
a
what the
question.
discussion here tonight is grandfathering these people in that's broke the law or whatever and just,
It doesn't grandfather them, it just makes what they did legal now when it was illegal. That's a fine point there.
okay, thanks.
And it's not for single-family homes. It's only for townhouses in HDR. So it's a very limited area, and there's not very many that it affects. Do you know how
And
many?
to add to that, it's specifically townhomes that do not front the Gulf or the Bay or the harbor. I know there's a graphic that shows there's 178 townhome units within HDR itself. However, that does not subtract the townhome units that are fronting that harbor right there, because I know there's a few that do.
The canal is a harbor under the definition?
I would say,
Yeah, currently in our code, there is no setback for waterfront properties. So
Because there's a state or there's a
well,
higher level.
it's just in our code. There's no setback for waterfront properties, and canal properties do fall in that. Yes.
Okay. I'm just looking at the map now, so to the point of getting a little confused. So while I would say 90% of them are canal harbor backyards, there's just basically 2 roads that we're talking about then? Okay, I see. Okay.
Very few.
Yeah. All right. Seeing no further discussion, we'll call the vote. Or do we have a, yeah, we, he's going to see the motion in a second on the screen.
Ooh, you have to vote.
This is number 12. Right, what's the motion? I keep up with the facts, not the number.
Recommended motion to approve it on first reading.
Okay, and first reading, okay, well, and then, let's just, let's just kill it because it's going to come back next time here. Do I have any questions? Hold on. All right, Daniel, coming to you. It's really just those two streets then we're talking about for the setbacks for 8, whether they got the permit or not compliant?
That's where they're located. That's the ones that I'm aware of that are located, yes.
Okay. All right, motion fails, 3-4. All right, moving along.
This is Resolution 2514, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Destin, Florida, approving the Harbor Community Redevelopment Area Master Plan and providing for an effective date. I'm reading the title because it's a public hearing, even though it's a resolution.
And thank you for reminding me. All right, do I need to read it or do you read it? Please.
I just read it, so you're good to open the public hearing.
I thank you. Recovering from that vote. All right, if there's anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this topic, this is your time to do so. Seeing none, we will close the public comments for this public hearing, and I will entertain a motion for Resolution 2514.
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Please.
At the last meeting, you reprioritized the list of objectives in this plan, and that new list is reflected in this document tonight.
All right. With that, do I hear a motion? Listen, I'm not on the CRA board. That's up to you guys. I'm not even on that board.
Make a motion that we approve it. I got to pull it up. You guys are killing me.
I'll second that.
All right, as
I'm
written.
trying to read it, it's so small.
I move the City Council approve Resolution 25-14 and the Harbor CRA Master Plan as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion, got a second. Seeing no discussion, we'll call the vote. All right, everyone wanted to say yes, no one wanted to say the motion. All right, Kim, keep it rolling.
This is Resolution 2513, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Destin, Florida, approving the Town Center Community Redevelopment Area Master Plan and providing for an effective date.
Seeing this is a public hearing, if anyone wishes to speak on Resolution 2513, this is your time to do so. Seeing none, I'll close the public comments to this and entertain a motion.
Mr.
I'll
Mayor,
make the motion.
Before a motion.
Please.
As I mentioned in the last item, this Town Center CRA Master Plan also has a list and prioritized objectives that the council has not readdressed since this was published initially. If you wish to do that, we would entertain that tonight and codify that in the motion with the prioritizing of those, and I think we can bring those up for you. There are a couple of things, particularly the crosstown connector and the linear trail, that are listed there if you can get to where you see those, that you may want to move to the top of the list because those are in progress.
Okay. As good as it's going to get. Appreciate you.
Well, I'll put a draft priority out there and then we can beat it up. Mayor, I would make the recommended motion with the changes in the project list prioritization. I would move the crosstown connector from 6 to 1. I would keep the linear park at 2. Both of those projects are ongoing and working. I would move the number 1 Arts District downtown to 3, leave the park system at 4, and then move the sidewalk bike lane improvements to 5, and the intersection improvements to 6, and leave the completion of the street network at 7.
All right.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Anyone further discussions? Seeing none. Oh, Councilman Destin.
I have one issue with making the crosstown connector, and as I read it, it is going to be improve street sections of the crosstown connector inside Town Center CRA district with all applicable requirements, sidewalks, bike lanes, buffers, landscaping. I guess that's all of Airport Road?
No,
I mean,
Legion Drive,
okay.
because
What's-
that's the only part of the crosstown connector that's.
And do we know what that cost might be? And the reason I ask is right now we're at 13 million to build basically 800 feet of road because all the rest of it's there already. How much more do we throw at this project to the tune of millions and millions to put in sidewalks, medians that won't fit on that road anyway, to not do anything more than to improve the functionality of the road? So that's why I have a problem with making that a number one priority. Now we're up to spending CRA money more besides the 13 million on a road that already exists except for 800 feet, and that's why it's 13 million. And how much more are we gonna spend?
So the only thing I can think of is the Central Network has already awarded us a small amount to get going for the sidewalks at least. I know that's not necessarily the infrastructure for the medians and whatnot, but at the end of the day, we also worry about speeding, and lowering speed signs don't seem to work. So I think having some kind of design into the speed itself or things that we can do. I mean, I know, I just hate to see us race to the bottom of a quality of a project because of inflation and everything, and we got to pay for it somehow. But I would just kind of counter from the standpoint of I would love that place to have a tree canopy, sidewalks that aren't abutting to the road, and something that's more than just a utility for vehicles, and something worth going to of some kind, even if it's a over-the-top neighboring park.
And that's a lovely thought.
Yeah.
You understand we'll have to expand the right-of-way there, which we can't do without buying all those houses.
Mhm.
And my problem is not to have it on the CRA because it's there.
Yeah.
The problem is to move it to number one.
Is this list binding, or is this just another list that we eventually change around once there's another council?
Well, if that's the case, then we're wasting our time changing anything.
Well, and then there's government for you.
I'd move it to number 3. That's halfway up the list.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. I mean,
okay. Even then, I don't know how in the world we're going to do it without throwing a
Not with that attitude,
8
do
or
not.
10 more million.
All right.
If that's the motion, then I'll vote for it.
I'll agree to move that to number 3 and move Linear Park up to number 1. And the Arts District up to number 2, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to look at Ray. You good there? All right. Everyone got that? Best of your knowledge. All right, seeing no further discussions. All right, Ray? Uh-oh. Anticipation. Oh, there we go. 6-0, so moved. You can bring it up. Oh, yeah, no, we're definitely, I'm bringing it up too. All right, yo, Kim.
Okay, this is ordinance 2511CC, an ordinance of the City of Destin, Florida relating to noise regulations, amending Chapter 14, offenses and miscellaneous provisions, Article 2, noise of the City Code of Ordinances, amending definitions, amending provisions relating to measurement of assessment of noise, providing for permissible noise levels, providing for exemptions, providing for findings of fact, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Seeing that this is a public hearing, at this time, if anyone wishes to speak on this topic, this is your time to do so. For ordinance 2511CC. Seeing none, we'll close the public comments, and I'll entertain a motion for resolution 2513CC.
Got you, Mayor. I
2511,
move the City Council to adopt ordinance 2511CC as presented.
Got a motion by Councilmember Braden. Do I hear a second? Second. Got a second by Councilman Destin. Any further discussions? Seeing none, we call the vote. All right, ayes have it unanimously, so moved. All right, that is the last of the public hearings. Looking like it. Councilman Braden, any comments?
Thanks, sir. The project going on 98 there by the old Chick-fil-A, it's been going on for quite a while. I know they had the westbound lane shut down causing havoc with the traffic for several days. Not sure what's going on there, how long it's going to take, but is that not possible to, what's that?
That was DWU did that because they had to replace a pipe.
Well, they're still there. I mean, they had it shut down today, and they've been working there for weeks, or?
No, it's only been 3
I don't know
days.
what,
Larry, do you have anything?
Yeah, they had notified us that DOT had approved them to work there for, I think it was 5 days through this week. And we said, okay.
When's that window end?
Should be just this week.
Okay.
Okay.
This week.
And I can confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that was, my
Okay.
recollection is there.
I have that on my list too. Can I just, are they working 24 hours a day?
I don't know. I don't know. Seems like they ought to be working at night instead of
Yeah,
during
they
the
ought to
day.
be working at night when there's not 8 million people. I mean, when it takes me more than 35 minutes to get from my little house over here, because traffic's been backed up, it did that for both my pre-brief and for this, they should be working at night.
I don't know why they got the lane shut down. They're not working in the lane, but anyway, I said I would ask. Next question is for DWU again. All the repairs that they're doing because of the underground boring, I just want to make sure that, they're not paying for that, and then it's going to come back on all the citizens of Destin because their water bill is going to increase next year because the expenses they've had to pay. I know nobody from DWU is here, but are they getting paid? Is the city getting paid? Or somebody getting paid? Or who's paying for it? All the repairs?
I'm not getting paid.
I ain't getting paid either. But I've been told that the people that's causing the problems is not paying for it because they pointing the finger at everybody else. So my question is, and that's not cheap when you got to replace a 12-inch high-pressure water line multiple times. Can we find out if DWUs? Nobody's here for them, but if they're charging these people so the citizens of Destin don't
I
get
know
charged?
that on certain instances, they have been reimbursed. Obviously, there are those which he said, she said, they said, and those have to be arbitrated or mediated through, whatever the appropriate means would be. I know in their bond documents that both Live Oak and Gigapower have, there are provisions there that if the two entities don't come to terms as to who's responsible, then the bonding company makes that decision, and if there's still not a holding hands and sing kumbaya between everyone, it goes to circuit court. Did I get that right, Councilor?
Okay, cool. I just don't want my bill or anybody else's bill going up next year like Gulf Power does. They raise the bill because all the tornado or hurricane went through Panama City and tore their stuff up, and everybody's got to pay for it. So I don't want that to happen, but yeah, good. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I got.
Appreciate it.
And-
Councilwoman
and
Trammell?
I did
yeah,
just
go
get
ahead.
word that they are working 24 hours on that project.
On the highway, okay, thank you. Councilwoman Trammell?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Schmidt, did you want our request now, or do you want to wait till your time? That's all I have
I
tonight.
believe it would be best to just do it under my item.
Okay, all right,
if
that's
you
fine.
want.
Then I'll wait until your
Just
item.
so everybody else can go for it.
All right. Councilman Dustin?
I would ask the city manager to give us a brief, quick report on this drainage issue that Mr. Dallas has come to talk about. I know they've worked on it, now we have a new engineer. What's happening with Mr. Dallas's drainage?
To date, nothing new, other than we've working out a time to meet with him, with the new engineer, to see if there's an alternative plan between making adjoining neighbors unhappy and the huge $300,000 project that was presented to us through our consulting engineer.
Yeah, well, please keep us up to date.
We certainly will, yes, sir.
So people on Snapper call all the time.
Yes, sir.
And the other question I had, and Mr. Schmidt may have brought it up, but the gentleman with the jet ski issues, are we addressing that?
I was going to kind of go into what me and Lisa have dug in. We've
Okay.
called everyone all the way up from the state down, and we kind of have at least what we have the means to, what the state has allowed us to do.
Well, I'll look forward to that report.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bagby?
Thank you. We did the DWU issue. Short-term rental renewals, they are due March 31st,
That's correct.
and this year is a green sticker?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This question is actually for Kim. Is there a way that we could change our code to incentivize people 10% of whatever money we collect to report their neighbors who don't have the little green sticker and don't have the little sign on their houses? Because as I walk my neighborhood daily now, there's a lot of houses that I know are rental properties that don't have little green stickers. One has a blue sticker. Yeah.
Our charter doesn't allow us to make money.
I'm not asking me to
I'm
make
just
money.
kidding, yeah. No, but have a
I wouldn't
tips
turn them
program.
in. I'd give it to the association or whatever. I
Yeah.
just want the people registered and paying the same that the people who are, again,
Fair.
the people that follow the rules get punished in this town, it seems like sometimes. And the people that don't follow it just get away. And I know times are tough and rentals are down. And so they are looking to cut costs. And one of the costs that they cut is their check to us, which I don't appreciate. Not to us personally, but to the city, us.
If I may.
Yeah.
So the current process, and this is something that I'm changing for next season, is that code staff puts the new sticker on as the applications are processed. So that I'm incorrectly stated that it's due March 31st. It opens March 31st. It's due by May 31st, and then any application that comes in after May 31st is a late application.
Okay.
And pays late fee.
So here's what I would ask you to do for the next meeting. Give me the number of folks that were registered last year as of May 31st, and the number who are registered this year as of May 31st, because it just appears, and some of these people may have registered and just haven't gotten around to putting the sticker on because they live out of town and they just haven't been down to their rental property. I'm sure there's a lot of those folks, but I want to know, I think we have a shortfall in our short-term rental registration collections, but I may be completely wrong.
So what I'm going to change for next year is that the short-term rental management company and or owner is responsible for picking up the sticker.
Okay.
That way there isn't a lag, because what happens is there's only so many applications that can be processed in any one day, and then the code officers go out, they pick up a stack, go out, right? This way they're notified, hopefully through MGO, that their sticker's ready. They come and pick it up, and the onus is on them. And what's going on now that the window is closed and a bulk of the applications are in, I have a code officer that goes up and down the streets. He sees a blue sticker. He said, have they been registered? Just don't have a sticker yet. He does that analysis. And if they haven't been registered, they're on a list, and a notice of violation is issued.
Okay.
As far as numbers go, sorry, wrong sticky.
Wrong sticky.
So last year, and this is fiscal year last year, 2024, we had 1,054 STRs registered at a cost of $699,900. As of May 31st, we have 919 at a cost of $568,400. So yeah, we're a little under, but that doesn't account for the late applications that that'll roll in. So
Also didn't account for more houses going on rental. We're going to have another rental. Well, they're gone. But yeah, I just want the numbers, because
I'll get those
there
for
are
you.
houses that I know rent in my neighborhood, because I saw them checking them in today, the property manager, and there's not a signed one on that house.
So
Forget about
they're
the
just
green
not
sticker.
registered at all.
Huh?
They're
Yeah.
just not registered at all.
Well, both.
Okay.
The sign may be in the garage. They may have fallen down when they were
picked the
repainting the
wrong
house.
house.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I do want to know if there is a method that we can incentivize folks who help us in our collections process.
Okay, let me think about that one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And I don't know if this question is for the city manager or for Kevin, but what is the expected outcome of the SRS workshop? Because this seems like, I didn't go to all of them, but I went to a couple of them. This seems like about the 5th SRS workshop. What do we think we're going to get out of this that we haven't gotten out of all the other workshops?
From a staff perspective, we're going to bring some big picture items, some probably medium picture and some smaller ones to determine if there's an appetite to begin small and move into some of the bigger projects that have been laid out before us, just to see if there's where council is on moving any of the initiatives forward. It was kind of left with no direction, so it would certainly help us to know if there's things that we want to be working toward, whether we start small, let's look at some of the small things, or want to wait for the grand things.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be there because I try to make every meeting and stuff. I just think we're wasting the council's time, but, and so I just want to know, do you think we're going to get something out of it, or what were you looking for when you brought it
Sure.
up, I guess?
So I brought it up, but I think at least 4 other council members also brought it up. So I'll go back real quick and look at the April 7 minutes. And it talks about Councilmember Schmidt talked about the importance of moving forward to taxpayers' investment of the plan, multi-phase approach. Maybe we should get together another time. Councilmember Trammell supported the idea of giving staff more specific directions. She proposed the idea to schedule a workshop or additional meeting. Councilman Bagby agreed to hold a workshop. He also raised concerns about elements of the plan, skepticism, funding, et cetera. So,
At least you're consistent.
So,
yep, I am.
So it wasn't just me, but if you're asking me right now, I want to know what the staff can bring to us, the people that are paid by the citizens of Destin to help do things for the city. How can we do these things that SRS has proposed? I'm not going to come up with a multi-phase approach of how to do phase 1. Like, that's not, I don't get paid enough for that. I'm not sure if y'all get paid. I don't. I'm asking Crystal, the finance director, to look at money, and Jeff, our grants guy, to go figure out which freaking grants we can get to support a multi-million-dollar project. I'm asking Larry to talk to federal government contacts in our state legislature, and at that workshop, bring us some possible options that we could do that.
Okay.
I think that's what some other people are hoping to get to, because we have yet to have a discussion about a 6-figure plan that we paid to do. We haven't discussed it at all.
No, I agree with that.
It wasn't at the vision session. I think that was a failure, in my opinion. It should have been the vision session, Jim.
Okay.
So I wish it was, but it's not. So that's kind of where we're at. Hope that answers.
Well, hopefully we'll figure something out.
I'm not going to have a PowerPoint presentation that night, but I will speak to my ideas. I'm just hoping staff and Larry have some stuff prepared for us. They get paid to do this.
Councilwoman Aber?
Thanks, Mayor. A couple of things. First of all, I want to thank Lisa and her team for Memorial Day weekend. The amount of traffic at the boat ramp at Joe's Bayou and the amount of parking and the headaches that her team dealt with. Thank you. Thank you to all the park staff, and I do appreciate what y'all do every weekend, especially Christopher and Wayne. He finally got that bullhorn out there. I also want to speak to the fact that Sheriff Jason was very helpful whenever I called him and said, we need help down here. These guys are not getting anybody to move or tow vehicles, at least ticket them. So thank you for having your folks go down there and ticket those out-of-towners that just parked wherever and damaged the grass in the non-parking areas. And the other thing I wanted to make known, Lisa has got everything going through with Eglin to get the big Welcome to Destin billboard replaced. It is a process. I've had people call and ask me about it. It's our fault we didn't work on it sooner, but starting next year in March, we'll process this so that the 2 weeks, 3 weeks it takes to get through the system, by April, spring breakers will see a new sign, and we'll have that on a yearly plan. So those that have asked me, why is it wore out? It's coming. Just give us a couple more weeks and we'll have a pretty new sign up there. And other than that, thank you for all y'all do. Appreciate you.
All right, Councilman Schmidt?
Awesome. A few things without on my agenda. One is the animal control item. Just to go back real quick, I believe on some research I've done, and Captain Fulgen can correct me if I'm wrong, but from the Florida statute, in areas not served by animal control authority, the sheriff shall carry out the duties.
Uh-oh.
And you don't have to answer that right now, but if you do know, can you speak to that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you were reading?
It's okay. The Florida statute, 2024 Florida statutes say that in areas not served by an animal control authority, the sheriff shall carry out the duties of the animal control authority under this act, Chapter 767, Section 11.
I'm not familiar with
Sure.
that, but I will do some research on it and get back with you.
Okay. Can you also get with them as well to check on that? Interlocal agreement between the City of Destin and the Okaloosa County School Board. I think we first had the original one back in 1996. I was actually probably there as an elementary school student, so thank you for everybody that was here that helped do that, to support that. 20 years later, we renewed it. Fantastic. I think it's time to go back to the drawing board with the school board people, whoever makes those decisions. The current one, I think, needs to be reworked a little bit. There's some things in there specifically about the use. I don't think we're currently possibly following what it says about public use only. We rent them out, I think we're allowed to rent them out. I'm not saying, but there's a lot of updates. That's one. The school's about to do a lot of changes over there. So I think we need to understand what that's going to look like and how the city can use it or not use it. And lastly, I read it very closely. It wasn't that long, but there's nothing in there about crossing guards. So for next school year, and I have a kid that's going to be there, my expectation, I told Larry, is that the City of Destin will not fund the crossing guards unless there's an agreement in place. And they have plenty of time to do that. So with all that said, I'm making a motion to have Larry work with whoever, to Parks Director, Lisa, to kind of see what we need to do to bring it into the current 2025 timeframe of the next 10, 20 years.
I'll second that.
Sure. Thank you.
Any discussion on that?
We're just talking about the elementary school?
It's the interlocal agreement for that property, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
At
all
the
right.
elementary school.
Without muddying it up, does that now include their expanded property?
That's kind of what we're saying here, right? I think Lisa would like, and I don't want to speak for you, but I know Lisa and other staff members would like to know what's coming and what we are going to be able to use still and update the map, right? The map doesn't even have that expansion, so I think it just need to update it.
Absolutely. Councilman Destin?
I don't see any problem with updating the document, but as far as this crossing guards not being funded by the city, I'm opposed to that change. After all, those are Destin kids that are going from neighborhoods all over Destin to go to the school. We've been providing the crossing guards now there for 20, 30 years. I would not be in favor of discontinuing that city service.
Yep, Councilwoman Hebert?
I respect what you're saying, Mr. Destin, but we also have a lot of non-incorporated neighborhoods that are going to that Destin Elementary School. So Okaloosa County, probably, being where those folks are paying their taxes, not to the city, be nice to sort of find out if we could get some funding from the county, since there's a chunk of students coming out of those neighborhoods that are not part of the taxpayers of Destin.
Councilman Bagby?
Yeah, and I hear y'all, I understand, I think I understand where everybody comes. The crossing guards primarily help the kids that are walking there. Now, there are parents that drop their kids off because they don't want to go through the drop-off line, and I got that, and some of them probably don't live in the city limits of Destin. but the vast majority of the kids crossing in the crosswalks are the kids that live within a mile where the buses won't run. If you remember, they're and so I think it's a mile. It may have gone to 2 miles now, but I know it was a mile when we were living over there because the bus didn't run by our house. So, you know, either we dropped them off or the kids walked or bicycled over to the school. So I'm kind of in favor of keeping the crossing guards. I think that is something that, you know, it sounds like a great idea until that first kid gets hit. And, you know, and God forbid dies. I mean, look what Colton, you know, everything that we tried to do to help that family and the coverings. I would say I don't have a problem updating this. If you just want a new map or something, I would hope that you or somebody up here would give the staff a little bit of direction, i.e., I think the football field's going to be left and the track's going to be left, and we kind of know what we're doing there. I think everything else, the other field, the soccer field that people play on, will be gone, but, you know, for our use or for public use. So is there some direction specifically, or maybe Lisa, you have some ideas based on what you've heard or what you want? I'm just trying to figure out what we're directing y'all to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Lisa, if you want to jump in, I know we get bombarded about more fields, but anything else?
No, I do not have any updates. I do stay in contact with Mr. Bill Smith on any of the direction of that extra property, but as far as I know, I don't know what they're going to do with that, but I know there's lots of ideas.
Okay.
I did have one. On the crossing guards, if we want to require the school district to indemnify us or crossing guards that we provide or provide the insurance for the ones we provide, I would have no problem making that part of this agreement. But to just say, you know, maybe we can work toward that, an agreement with the school district, but until we get that where somebody's providing crossing guards, and we've done it historically, and until somebody else is in a written form providing them, I'm for keeping them.
Councilman Schmidt?
Yeah, I guess I'm sorry if I'm being confusing up here tonight. I don't want to muddy the waters with the crossing guard thing, but Okaloosa County School District collects a shit ton of money from our citizens.
Yep.
A lot of money. I don't know if the city of Destin's been doing the crossing guards for 20 to 30 years. If we have, okay. I will tell you, in case any of you guys ladies haven't seen, the mornings and the afternoons by Destin Elementary School, you should go down there. Well, that's good then. 20 or 30 years ago, I might have walked and rode my bike to school in the morning. My mom and dad were at work, and I crossed that street, and the crossing guard helped me. Can't go tomorrow because school's out for summer, but you go out there any other day, you will see 20 to 50 to 75 adults
and cars parked
walking,
all the streets.
In the crossing thing. You will see them standing outside the doors of the Destin Elementary School waiting to be dismissed so they can collect their kids. They park in the right-of-way that years ago the city put posts on one side, but not on the other side, so now all the cars park on that guy's yard. And I imagine eventually when that guy complains, the city will have to put posts. So things change. So, you know, 6 hours a day, 3 people, 2 hours a day, 6 hours, 5 days a week, 185 days, 5,550 hours. What's the average hourly rate of a Parks and Rec or code enforcement personnel? Anybody know? $18 is $99,900 that the city of Destin pays for a crossing guard. So, again, when school comes, unless the city manager has something on our charter or ordinance, my expectation, I hope all the other council members, is we're not doing crossing guard unless there's an agreement with the Okaloosa County School District. And if y'all want to bring that up later, that's fine, but it's just crazy, so. But the direction for the interlocal, Jim, to answer your question, is to Lisa to go update the interlocal. I mean, it literally says that we can't use it except for public use. And we're using it every day to make money when we rent it out. So it just needs to be updated. Those are items that need to be updated. Because what usually happens is we tell them to go do something, but we don't give a directive. And then it doesn't happen for a year or two. And we wonder why nothing ever gets done. So again, I'm not paid enough to do the job. So I'm asking Larry and Lisa to go to the school board and update a document that's a binding contract between the city and the school board. I can't do that myself. Or I guess I could, but I sure as hell ain't gonna do it. So hopefully somebody else will.
All right, Councilwoman Hebert.
Thanks, Mayor. And back to what Kevin was saying, every morning there's 20 to 30 vehicles with adults getting out with their children that live in those neighborhoods 4 and 5 miles away, that they're walking their kids into school. And like Kevin said, with the money that is costing the city of Destin, it's not unfair to think it should be the Okaloosa County that helps fund us to put these crossing guards out there to protect our kids and family members going. We're not saying we don't want to do it. Of course we want to save, lives, but we need to be funded through the county. They're collecting enough money, and there's enough people that are not Destin residents that have their children going to these schools, and they're part of the Okaloosa County taxpayers. So that's what I'm asking, is find out from them when you talk about the agreement, can we get some funding from the county, since they collect all the money, to help us pay for crossing guards, instead of it being a Destin City cost?
All right, Councilman Destin.
Just so we understand the situation, the track and the ball fields that we have been renting out to people for 20 or 30 years, we get those from the county for, I think, $1 a year. So to construe the fact that we provide some crossing guards into a narrative that we are somehow being taken advantage of is quite an issue, quite a fantasy in my opinion, because they don't need to let us use those fields at all. I think it's been a pretty good deal. We have made way more than what we have spent on crossing guards. I would say that the motion is to try to clarify the areas that are still going to be used. And as far as the crossing guard, or the nature of public use, since we are renting those fields out to other people, clearly that is a public use and has been for 30 years. I don't know where that issue is coming from, but to slap that tiger and say, that $1 a year, y'all are really taking advantage of us to let us rent all those fields out for these very, very large sums of money. You need to pay for the crossing guards too. I don't think that's going to be well received, nor is it well thought out.
We also maintain it.
Yep.
We also maintain it as well. Just
Like we do every other public facility we have in the city.
All right, Councilwoman Trammell.
I just wanted to bring up with regards to the crossing guards, there will be a new student crossing on Benning Drive next year, so that needs to be looked into as well.
Okay, Councilman Bagby.
So, Ms. Lisa, how much do we make renting out the football field, just the football field? Because that's probably all that's going to be left there.
I don't have that right now, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. I would like to know that.
Okay.
Just because, yep, the crossing guard, and maybe we can negotiate that with the school district. That's fine if they want to help us pay for but until we have an agreement that they help us pay, I'm not willing to let the school go uncovered. I would ask that you separate the two issues, because I'll vote to update the use agreement, but if it includes the provision with the crossing guards, I can't vote for it.
Yeah, that's my mistake. It shouldn't include a provision with it. So it's just update interlocal. So sorry if I muddied the waters there. I'm just bringing it up in the same conversation tonight, but no, the motion is not to go add some provision about crossing guards. The motion is to update the interlocal about the use of the facilities, the future use of the facilities, the expansion of the facilities, what we can and can't do on this property as a city of Destin.
All right. All right, with that, I'll call the vote. Ray? All right, ayes have it, so moved.
Yeah, so I guess the next item is about updating stuff and updating these things. I know the staff put together stuff. Did you want to speak first, or the staff, or? Sure, so I don't want to be here all night, and I don't want to fight over anything. So I guess my only ask would be that a lot of these things are basically done, in my opinion. You know, we pursued the Destin City Center, so 1.1 should be done because we pursued it. You know, we acquired the bridge property, so we should remove that. It's done. So, you know, that's my hope and expectation is that, you know, we began phase 1 of the underground utilities, so it should be done. Take it off if we want to keep the pursuit of that, and somebody can talk about adding it. So only thing I'm going to just add up here tonight is I'd like to add the start and completion of the Clement Taylor Park as a critical priority for the city council. That's the only thing I want to add. And I'm just going to hope staff will just update this thing to make it more clear on where we're going. So that's my thought and idea, and I'd be happy to let other people talk. And Jim, if you want to say anything, or whoever, feel free.
All right, I'll jump in first because we had an extra week to think about this, so that helped me out. No, in a good way. No, hey, priorities, just like we're talking about. And so I think something that, you know, if we're going to spend $25,000, this thing is, it's $25,000 in the grand scheme of thing. It's still money, but I know just depending on the topic, that might be a lot. It might not be anything. And the whole survey, the citizen survey, I think if we're going to do another survey, we know that by far the number one issue is going to be traffic on 98. Right now, the CIS network, aka Harbor West Destin 98, is number 4 on the TPO list. And from the great work of our lobbyists and everyone, I feel like we have a really good connection right now with the state. And I would love to see us solve or at least try to help the traffic that everyone knows and hates about Destin. And we know that's going to be everyone's number one issue when we ask them in a survey. We still, you know, drop $25,000 for a survey to realize that everyone still has an issue with traffic even today. And so I would like to see us really start to get in with the state and pursue the alternative 4-lane West Highway 98 in Destin feasibility study. So if you guys look into it, I can send some documents to Ray to expand. When we failed the 6-lane, because of the right-of-way acquisition, there was 2 alternatives that kept it 4 lanes that would improve traffic flow. And a lot of those things are, I would say, cost savings to the state and to us. And it's still ranked number 4. It didn't move at the TPO. So we're right there at a good number where we can get some dollars, especially with this being a much smaller dollar evaluation than expanding the 6 lanes. So it's our citizens' number 1 issue. We all know it's our number 1 frustration. So my only one thing that I'm going to throw on there for discussion or just for me to talk tonight would be that we just figure out not only to improve Stallman, but the west corridor of 98 going down FDOT's, one of FDOT's 4-lane alternative programs. So that's what I have for tonight. And Councilwoman Aber.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, Kevin, my big deal that I would like to see as a priority is the Clement Taylor Park as well. That's been on for years. It's like, it's this grant that has just sort of stalled and there's been nothing done, and it just feels like, why are we not able to move forward? So I would like to see that be pushed to a more work on it. Let's find out where the money is. Let's see what we have to do to get this finished. And then I agree with the mayor, getting the Stallman Avenue, getting the 4 lanes. It's definitely not enough.
All right, Councilwoman Trammell.
I'd like to have a copy of that. I didn't get one.
Oh, here.
I don't have one. Sorry about that.
If you like, or yeah. Yeah. And if you need a couple minutes, Jim's going to talk too.
No, I was just I don't have any objection to anything that anyone has said. I said the one thing that I would like to see is what the SRA survey came out with was our people wanted more green space. And I think we're going to be looking at that. One of the priorities that I'd like to put into place is when the Parks Master Plan is done, I think we need to seriously take a look at that and prioritize what we can do with that. That will answer the questions that our citizens have put forth to us about why they want more green space. They need more green space. There's a lot of properties in town that we can do that with very little money. And I think we need to explore those options. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, I have no problem getting rid of 1.1. A lot of these, when we did this a few years ago and we've just kind of rolled them over, things have been added, descriptive words that weren't in the original strategic plan, and 1.2 is a perfect example. 1.2 originally was acquire more public waterfront. It wasn't tied to a single parcel on the harbor or on the bay or on the beach, and so we've pursued that consistently over the last 5-6 years, where we bought, us in the county bought some Gulfront, and then we bought the parcel 1, Harbor 1, or whatever we're going to call that parcel, and we've looked at parcels on the harbor and on the bays and on the bayous and stuff too. We can never have too much waterfront property, particularly until we get beach nourishment project completed. So I would keep public waterfront acquisition as one of our top priorities, because hopefully the Parks Foundation or somebody would add that. I don't have a problem with Clement Taylor Park being up there. Undergrounding the utilities, that's still a priority. We've got years to go before that, 30 years to go before that's done. The Stallman US 98 pedestrian underpass, hopefully. I just want to make sure we're clear on the 4-lane, because my memory of those 4-lane projects, when the 6-lane project failed, was that it included removing some of the turnarounds or some of the turns on the west end of 98. So basically you had to go to a light to turn around or whatever. Some of the crossovers got reduced. It also included, I believe, some turn lanes, specifically at the Emerald Grand. And so I'm not opposed to adding that to the priority list. I just want somebody to bring it, so we can look at the two plans and say, this is
that one minus this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not tied to any details of it. I think we have some good footing right now to get some FDOT money to do something that improves us. Yeah.
I agree. And the Parks Master Plan, and I want a pocket park in every neighborhood so people can walk their dogs or whatever. So I don't have a problem with that. Under the Marlar Bridge, the crosstown connector, keep that. Improve parking, improve parking. We made a commitment, 20 years ago almost, to improve parking in the Harbor District. And we've done a little bit, but probably not enough. And then the annexation, I don't know where the mayor's initiative on that is, but I would assume you want to keep that.
We're about ready to rock.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. I guess my question is the staff going to bring us back a new list? And then we're going to say no, like we've done with the Harbor CRA and the town center, move forward at 1 or 1 to 6 or what?
That was my thoughts,
Okay.
is that we would not be sitting here making motions on individual items, but they would take this. For example, they did provide us a lot of answers to each of these things. I don't necessarily agree and the improved parking option that you just brought up. Their answer was, well, we did the SRS thing and it had parking garages in there, but that was also part of a $40 million project. So, the Marlar Bridge, I don't think you were here, maybe that year, but it was very important at that time in the council to have that specifically said on that council objective. But you're not wrong about waterfront. But that's my thoughts, is that they take these edits and changes and then bring it back.
Yeah. All right, Councilman Destin.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no problem at all with adding the Clement Taylor to the priority list. The four-laning project, like Mr. Bagby, I need to know the details because I've seen some versions that were going to be pretty controversial. Simple things like no left turns out of some of the streets would help a lot.
Yeah, that's probably my number one is that. Yeah.
Closing off a bunch of the ways people can turn and have to go down to only one light, that's not a good idea, but I don't mind looking at it, and we should look at it. So, add the Clement Taylor to the priority list, and we can look at those four-lane improvements to see what we can do. Other than that,
Stallman intersection.
Yeah, the other things that we've already done, when we get completely through them, we can take them off, but.
All right, Councilman Brady, anything? All right, good deal. Councilman Schmidt, anything else?
No, are y'all good with that, Larry? Yes, sir. Okay. And when I said the undergrounding, like, again, Jim, like you said about the words, I want to leave it on there too, but let's edit it because phase one is started, right? So I agree with you. Just things like that. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor, for the night, I believe.
All right, with that, Councilman, or Fulgham, Captain Fulgham.
I looked up the statute that you were referring to while y'all were talking, and 76711 refers to dangerous dogs and bites by dangerous dogs, not animal control per se.
He's going to give you the leash back.
So you're going to take... Yeah, the sheriff's office requires. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah, that statute requires the sheriff's office to investigate dog bites or dangerous dogs. There's a whole definition of what defines as a dangerous dog if there is no other animal control in place. But it only applies to, like I said, just the dangerous dogs.
Mayor, just a quick question on that
Please.
issue. Is the city of Crestview looking at doing their own? I saw somebody that was checking out the pause contract.
The city of Crestview, the city of Niceville, city of Mary Esther to a degree, and the county are looking at some different model. And that's why at the last meeting, we had the conversation about joining in with the county in that process, and absolutely thought the folks from Paul's understood that was an option we were going to probably move forward with, because we had that conversation with them. But there's a lot going on in that arena, more so in the capture and transport component as to the housing component.
Yeah, and I would say that would be a direction we'll have to go. If Paws doesn't want to do it, we'll have to partnership with some of those entities.
Okay.
Larry, just FYI, I'm an expert at relocating all types of animals, so if I can assist, just let me know.
To the bottom of the Gulf?
If you can get a motion, we'll negotiate tomorrow.
Not me, him. All right, let's keep going. All right, let's do the Joe's thing. Thank you, sir, for being here the whole time. I'm sure you're here for this and the entertainment value at this point. All right, so Joe's, me and Lisa have gone through, I guess, every department that the state wants to create an alphabet soup for on this. Basically, the nuts and bolts are, we can't just throw up a sign because we feel like it. It seems to their knowledge that South Florida has ruined that for us. All the canals and everything down in Fort Lauderdale, Miami have created issues where the state has, in their ultimate wisdom, decided that no, the only way you can have a no-wake zone is 500 feet from, in this case, Joe's Bayou ramp. So there's a 500-foot radius. And so that's where those two signs come from. Now, we started getting creative, and I go, okay, well, what else creates a radius? And the main thing, or I guess I would call it the lowest dollar improvement that we could consider would be improved kayak ramps. Something where there's quite literally not just a board, but something for the kayak floating dock where you can sit on the kayak and kind of launch off. That would then allow us to do a 500-foot radius. And if we really want full circle from the council who was here maybe 10 years ago, some of the gentlemen, I'm sure he's watching, so get a laugh out of this. Some of the gentlemen that wanted their abatement or wanted the right-of-ways gone, or might just be the solution to improve have an improved kayak launch at these right-of-way locations that we have, which would then allow us to expand that radius. So theoretically, if we put 2 or 3 of those kayak launches in Joe's, Again, not sure about the dollar amount, let alone where we pay for it, but that would be a creative way to be within the state statute to allow us to draw several 500-foot radiuses in Joe's Bayou to then create a full no-wake zone. That's kind of really where we're at the moment if we want to go and pursue the route of no wake. Safety and those kind of things in boating operation would be FWC, and that's a whole other department. But from the standpoint of trying to bring no wake to Joe's Bayou, if that is the council's decision, that seems to be the lowest common denominator. Lisa, do you have anything else? No? All right, I thought you didn't know if you were waving me in. All right, thank you. So with that, Kevin?
Yeah, thank you all for taking all those calls with the ABC soup.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I appreciate that. So there used to be a no-wake zone sign in the back of Joe's Bayou. Who put it there? What happened to it?
I didn't go historic. I was going for forward.
Does anybody on our staff know the Joe's Bayou wake zone towards the back of the bayou?
The guy who's been here the whole time.
Oh, perfect.
We passed that no wake. We passed no wake back there many, many years ago. I'm not sure the state's, whatever regulations they've made, reach back and cancel ordinances and
Probably
things
not.
that probably not. That's generally not the way the law works.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Those ordinances were passed a long, long time ago. Ms. Kopp, your analysis of the situation concurs with the mayor's, or have you looked at the issue?
No, it concurs with the mayor's. I have looked at the issue.
Okay, so you have an opinion about a no-wake zone that was instituted 15 or 20 years ago?
Yeah, if we have institutional.
No, I think it's good. I mean, we don't have a problem with that one. That's been there.
Okay, so the Harbor Lane one is where? I'm sorry. The one that the gentleman was talking about?
That's behind where Mr. Tim Kruger lives, you know.
Yeah. So that is in Joe's Bayou?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's kind of right across.
And we need to go back and see where those no-wake
south
zones
of it.
are. I think it was in the back half, not the front half, unfortunately.
So, if you don't mind, I was going to ask, was there ever one further to the bay that you recall back in the day? Or just the one toward, because I remember the one in the back too, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll
No
have to
worries.
go do some research.
So, what we've been told by the sheriff and the staff in the city, like, it's our bayou, it's our jurisdiction. So, who told you we can't put a sign up? I don't get that.
The state, state
but
FWC.
it's ours, right?
Correct. But there's a state statute that the state legislator put in, I don't know what year, overriding municipalities' power in canals and bayous because people, call them Karens in the South Florida area, were trying to no-wake everything to stop boaters from coming in their canal.
Have you verified this?
I believe that statute was predated by what we did. We put our signs there, I believe, before that existed.
Which is great. That's good news.
But this what he's talking
Yeah.
about, is that Chat GPT? Or
No,
is
that's State Department's. No, this isn't, not in chat, this one, yeah.
Okay.
This is State Department conversations, yeah.
So, I guess maybe Mr. Destin, you can help me with this, but, I mean, at minimum, let's put the sign back.
Yeah.
So I guess ask staff and Ms. Strickland to bring us what that cost. But then beyond that, I would say if it's 500 feet, then we measure 500 feet from Joe's Bayou, you can put another sign. So
There is two at Joe's, pushing out, I believe.
500 feet from it?
There is a north and south one.
All I'm saying is
correct.
to the middle.
Oh, to the, okay.
Or
wherever that looks.
wherever.
Yeah.
I would, Mr. Tanaka and I think another Mr. Tanaka, and like we've talked about this again for over a year, and we don't do anything. This, and so I would just ask that maybe we replace the one and then add one to the 500 feet, but we need to know the cost of it. So
just so you know, after
the motion I'll put out there.
my comments, it goes to public comments.
I'll make that motion
and then
to
you
do
go-
that.
You can have a whole 3 minutes on it again.
Make the motion to have staff bring us back the cost of replacing and as well as adding one, 500 feet from Joe's Bayou. Launch, that's a motion.
All right, I got a motion in a second. I believe, I believe, what's his name? Over at, not Alex Fogg, Mike Norberg. I think he said, what, 2,500 for the post and sign for a ballpark? But just so you guys
Yes.
kind of have some general information of what we're looking at. So, simple. It should be, yeah. All right, Councilman Destin, anything further? I'd prefer it there. Okay, you got the second. Any further discussion? No. All right, Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, is Kruger off Harbor Lane? I thought he was on Marlar's Bayou.
No, he's 606.
He's Harbor Lane.
Harbor, okay. Yeah, well, I know, because I know, who's our concrete guy? Yeah, Buckingham is over off Cross Court, right?
Yes, that's Marlar.
Yeah, but did we give him that right-of-way? There was a right-of-way between his and Bruce's house.
That one we abandoned, yeah.
We abandoned that one? Okay, because we could also protect, if we had that, we could protect Marlar.
Unabandon it.
And I guess my question, and maybe when you said you didn't have a problem with the sign skim, maybe this is it. The waters of the city versus the waters of the state, those bayous are ours, right? They're not waters of the state?
They're ours because of our city charter, includes
Right.
them in the city jurisdiction.
Okay, and so we can put signs, particularly if they predated the legislation that prevented that, correct?
Let
Okay.
me get the legislation and find out when it was enacted for the next meeting. So I don't have it on me tonight. The mayor snuck this in.
No.
Just kidding.
And I would just make one comment. Marlar Bayou is unique.
Yes.
The bottom of Marlar Bayou is owned by the property owners, not the state of Florida, per a circuit court ruling 30 years ago. So I think they can pretty well do what they want to, or allow us to do it.
Oh, nice.
It's different than the other body waters.
All right, with that, I got a motion and a second to get this finally moving forward. Thank you, guys, and I'll call the vote, Ray. All right, ayes have it, so moved, and hopefully a solution soon. All right, with that, the only other thing I was going to bring up kind of relates to the priority list, but I didn't want to kind of throw it in there. The Marlar-Destin Bridge, so the Marlar Bridge, AKA the Harbor Bridge here, we're halfway through the PD&E study at the state level. We just so happen to have a very talented bridge architect that lives in our community, 32 years, and he has generously offered to just help us in any way possible to make that not a utility bridge, but actually a gateway bridge or some kind of landmark. And so he's got 32 years experience. I asked 5 times if he wants any dollars. He's like, absolutely not. Me and staff met with him this morning, and he seems like he is very knowledgeable and a very this. So I can shoot you guys the email via Ray of what he's suggesting, but really it boils down to if we can get a bridge aesthetic committee together, call it Blue Panel, call it whatever you guys want to call it, and then with that, go to FDOT and really not only allow for public comments during the workshops, but allow this committee to create the design and the functionality and the intention that we're looking for, so that when the state goes through its processes, there's some trigger points that we can actually hold a little bit more local accountability of what we're looking for, and not just, get a couple nice workshops and a couple comment cards and, the train moves on without our consideration. Because for me, my goal would be for that bridge to really exemplify what this harbor is, which is a world-class fishing village that we're trying to protect the heritage of. And, just about any photo that you see in Destin, that bridge in the harbor is either a silhouette or is kind of main stage. So for me, it's something that we would be starting now. And, if we're lucky in 15 years, we'd slowly start seeing that fruit of the labor. But for me, this boils down to trying to get the locals, getting us to not just start with a blank canvas, but start with some options, boil it down to some designs that this committee can start approving, and then really just have a design manual for the bridge at the end of the day, kind of like the harbor had there. We have a mission, we're gonna meet that mission, and then we're gonna have this presentation or these priority lists for the council to approve, eject. But at the end of the day, we're trying to make sure that this doesn't become another level 1 utility bridge, but something extraordinary for us to be proud of. So, Yeah, exactly. I would say, and he was pretty excited from the standpoint of like, maybe even a little Pensacola plus, because there's a couple things that he felt they did that were more cherries on top, bells and whistles versus some structural integrity designs, so that, this bridge, in his opinion, will last over 100 years, which means every building in Destin will get redeveloped or recycled while this bridge stands. So this could be something that, while we're at this very beginning phase where it might not mean much to us or we might not see any fruits of our labor for the next couple of years, if we can do this right and we can pull off something very landmarkish, we could be proud of for the next century. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with this bridge design committee. I would probably ask to put this in the council objective, but obviously not to build it or anything, but perhaps just to get the committee together, put it under important, put it under desirable, because at the end of the day, this is going to be helping us get to a final end product that's going to be 2 decades out. So just wanted to throw that out there, that we met today as a staff, and we at least have someone who would chair that, or at least willing if you guys would nominate him at some later date. But we got some brains that are here locally that just love the community and want to give back his knowledge for this project. So that was something that happened this morning that was exciting. And so that's all I had there. Is there any? Oh, I'm looking up. All right, Councilman Destin.
That was the previous.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I was on the map. I was looking at Joe's Bayou for a hot minute. All right, so Sandy, anything?
I was just going to tell you that this whole topic was brought up with the Harbor CRA 20 years ago. So instead of creating a new committee, you may just want to hand it to them.
And if that sounds, I would prefer less committees. It means
yes.
No, less is more in the committee department.
Well, and we worked with the DOT at that time to try to get the bridge lighted, and they told us they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right, Kevin, anything further? That was it. Yeah. Yep, I like that, because I didn't want to make another committee. I felt a little dirty even saying it.
Awesome.
All right. I was like, I'm against more committees. What am I saying here?
So do we need to vote on?
No, because I really don't have anything to give you. I just wanted to give you guys an update. It's kind of a big topic that I just wanted to let you guys know that we're working on, and I'll disseminate some information through staff. And I think once we get something together, we can, once we have something that is worth council's approval of something, we'll look at it. Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully in the next month or two, when you see it, I guess we don't want it to be a big topic out of nowhere. So with that,
Kevin's name.
Kevin, she was good. Yep. And then Kim, anything?
I don't have anything. Thanks, Mayor.
All right. Public comments. Yes, sir. All right. Appreciate you.
Did you hear what we did?
All right, Guy.
Boy, the acoustics in this room really hadn't gotten any better.
Yeah, that's why we need a new one.
And that's the reason that I watch city council meeting on television is so much better. I got a text from my wife a while ago, and she said, "Don't come home unless you bring up Memorial Day decorations." Maybe we missed something. We had a tremendous crowd here, as Ms. Hebert mentioned. I don't believe you could have floated another boat in the harbor. Crab Island has an annex now. Maybe you don't know about it, but now then, from the Coast Guard station all the way down to what we used to call the Wall, part of Crab Island, as well as the point at the end of Bayou Drive. But maybe we missed something. If we did, I apologize for it. But it seemed like there was almost a total void of Memorial Day decorations in the city. And I don't know if perhaps we missed something, but if it wasn't for the Emerald Grand, who had wonderful, beautiful decorations, and a lot of the private homes, with flags and decorations, it would have almost just been like another, long weekend. And there's a popular television show, and you probably saw the same thing that I did, where they interviewed people going on vacation on Memorial Day weekend. Where they were going, et cetera, and why are we celebrating Memorial Day? They didn't know. And I don't think we helped that a lot this weekend, or last weekend. So my suggestion is please consider going forward that we honor those that gave their life for the freedom that we enjoy, and join some of the other businesses that, not many of them, but like I say, the Emerald Grant, I think Ace Hardware has some flags up. But I sure would like to see a better job of that. Would really encourage you to look into that. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you being here. All right, Mr. Green, nothing? All right, with that, council adjourned.